Alright. Well, take a knee for a second. Make sure everything's functioning, working. Hello, I returned. This time not with the milk. With the cardboard. How you feeling, guys? Alex, first person in. Crazy. I'm sure this one, this should not be doing monetization. I do not care to have this shit cut my focus down because of them constantly striking shit. Open my article here. That rain is already pitter-pattering on my shit. It better not knock my shit offline. Keep this shit the fuck up. Yep, it's already something happening. Just saying this. Current bit rate lower than the normal. That should be fine. Alright. Alright guys, it is 9:02 on a Saturday night. Just to make sure this shit is going right. And pin that. Just make sure Botrix is online and working and functioning, because I feel like it's not. Right. Botrix is not online because it shouldn't be delaying that long. Wonder why it's not connected. Do your fucking job. I have you for a purpose. Allow Botrix. Are you alive? Can you do your job? Do you see these hands? Or said metaphorically, about to square up with a fucking bot program. Do you see my hands, Botrix? Botrix, do you see my hands? Botrix does not see my hands. Sad. Anyways. Today, chat, I have for you a simple story. It is a story of content creator meets content creator. And then content creator backstabs content creator. You know him. You hate him. You wish he'd go the fuck away. It's John. Darkrai exploded in my backside. Delrose! It's so cringe. It's so cringe, chat. It's so cringe. It's so gay. It's so cringe and it's so gay. I can't believe it. But where do we begin? No other place to begin but the beginning. And boy, is it a big butt. So let's get that shit on the screen so you can see it. You cannot escape Real Hypnotic One. You will submit to the glory of the chair stream. All hail the Hypno Chair. Hypno Chair made by Crimson Blitz Art. Man, Hypno took such an L in the last day after going full leftist cancel pick on me and Fandom Pulse. He was exposed as a total hypocrite and simp for DEI. That's why everyone's switching to Fandom Pulse, who calls it right with the real news. FandomPulse.com. Who the fuck talks like that? Who the fuck talks talks like this on a tweet. I've kept quiet because I have friends on both sides. I thought I made that clear over and over, but apparently not. I don't want to be a part of this. I don't care who's right or wrong. Stop dragging me into it. My stance cannot be clearer. If you value what I bring to the table, you will respect my decision on this. Cesard, I think you made your point loud and clear that this is obvious gaslight master of the TDS. I'm sure you know that. Lol. You kept quiet while these guys led a council mob and would not stop. These are toxic, evil trolls who are pushing big gay propaganda and trying to do damage to right-wing creators. It's kind of like keeping quiet when the Nazis are rounding up the Jews because you got a couple of German friends, yeah? This, chat, this right here, this is the message that would launch a never-ending tide of that fresh, hot garbage directly down the back of your fucking throat. This right here is the point where John De La Rose went from just making memes and doing jokes and being funny to being a massive fucking lolcow. A massive fucking lolcow. Because once this shit hit the goddamn airwaves, it was just splatter all over the goddamn fans. Hi, horror. It was splatter all over the fucking fans. I actually felt bad for YorchTorchGaming. I don't know how the fuck JDA made that possible, but he made me feel bad about YorchTorchGaming's behavior in this and how he reacted. I already felt horrible for Master of the TDS. I was a little bit upset for like a half second where it's like, you brought this on us, you did it! But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? This man's out here talking about some Jew jokes. I got you, bro. Bro, I got you. I did not want to put in that much effort for JDA's smug face because half of it is the goddamn feed in and of itself. The other half of it is Backstab sitting next to him as he's fucking Fedposting like this shit is not the cringiest fucking thing a grown-ass man could be doing with his time. So I hit him with a classic meme. I hit him with the friendship ended with Fumuduhar shit. Picked out the goddamn shit myself. I gotta go through it in real time. So we're gonna go through slowly. We're going to go through slowly. It jumps from here and goes to here. The fact that you respond to me like this after everything I did for you is shameful. I went to people's DMs to advocate for you. I got on the phone with you. I stayed quiet when other people talked about you and gave no opinion. I tried to help you fix this. I encouraged people to sit down with you. But instead of owning your mistakes and working to rebuild trust, you kept digging. Then somehow, you turned and blamed me, even though I was one of the few actually defending you. This isn't a council mob. It is the result of your own behavior. Yes! 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 Tell him to his face, yes! The problem isn't your beliefs. It's your refusal to reflect, your inability to meet others halfway, and your disregard for how your actions affect those who stood by you. If being friends with both sides isn't acceptable to you, then you've already made the choice. We're done. I'll let your response to my simple request slide, but I can't ignore the pattern anymore. Do what you want. Just know you're doing it without my support moving forward. Yes! The Master of TDS is a master of single player call! Yes! Beautiful. And then he followed it up with a, I've blocked him, don't tell me who I can and keep him friends with. I make my own choices. Mwah, 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 mwah. He ate, no crumbs, no notes. Give me the recipe. He then followed this up. I had time to think. What happened yesterday made one thing clear. Being kind has its limits, and I've let some people cross them for too long. I stay out of fights that aren't mine. I treat people with decency even when they don't deserve it, but that ends now. Some people don't want resolution, they want control, and when they lose it, they attack. Patience without boundaries turns into permission, and I won't keep giving people permission to walk all over me. I won't be stepped on again. Won't get stepped on again! Won't get stepped on again! Won't get stepped on! if I could understand how long this had really gone on with the involvement of Master of the TDS making it possible, I wish I could have then understood exactly how deep this shit went. Because if I knew that Master of the TDS was basically one of the strings holding this together, we could have probably been able to solve this shit with a goddamn Torch Factory nipping it in the bud as best as fucking possible. And the fact that not even YorchTorchGaming would stand by him in this moment was crazy. But we gotta go in order, guys. Gotta go in order. Because in between this, and then in between the post, or maybe it's actually the same day. No, it is on May 1st. So let's see here. Yeah, this was May 1st at 12:02 a.m. 12:02 p.m. This one was 8:30 p.m. So there is some posts in between this. So this happened then, and then this stream happened, and then this happened afterwards. So let's go there. Let's go here. This is like 2 hours, but we can fast forward through this very easily. We're going to go to 1.5, and I know that in the beginning it is Smash JT, then Vox Day enters alongside John Delaroz, who opens the stream, and Smash drops out of the call somewhere around 1:35. Like 45, 1:35, 45. So, let's get through this, chat. Let's understand. Let's watch together. The sheer cuckening that it was. The Christo-religious furry. And his crash out upon every other person. But of course, the background behind this. What was it that John Delaroz was even streaming about? John Delaroz, just like everybody else, was going wild, saying, haha, ding dong, the Wicked Witch is dead. Cheering that the journalists had a full shellacking and firing from their jobs, as their jobs were getting cut when Volnet was sold. Rather, when Volnet bought Polygon, and Polygon sold to Valnet, and they were all losing their jobs to the news aggregator website. When this was reported to me, and as I noticed this information happening for me, Horror was already on top of it, putting together the timeline, before I even started constructing my own timeline. But I was told about this in the middle of the Ratchet & Clank 3 stream. Or one of the Ratchet & Clank 3 streams. It was the second one. And my response to this, verbatim, as people were talking about this, was you should not be cheering this on because the Valnet situation is not a good thing. It does not mean the journalists are getting shitted on. Botrix is working again. It does not mean that the journalists are getting shitted on with absolutely no pause and no reaction and no time spent whatsoever. It actually is a demonstration of time and angle spent where the journalists are going to run around saying, you guys are shitting on us, you guys are shitting on us. And I've already gone over that. I've already gone over the post. I did it earlier today, and I also did it yesterday, where people like Alicia Mercante were complaining and bitching and crying and moaning. But this was the other side of the spear. This is where the grifters, and I'm using that word lightly, because the only grifter here in this situation, as far as I'm concerned on this topic, is John Delaroz, were full-on celebrating and cheering as Christianity's strongest gamer, mocking them in his own stream. The title of which is Journapocalypse Poly/Gone, with special guest Smash JT. What it means for DEI and gaming. He brought him onto this stream, and what happened here, you need to see and believe yourself. Because, well, let's just talk about it. Let's just watch it and talk about it. Does he really have fucking AI generated fucking Christian music as a fucking opening? Apparently he does. There ain't no fly reef, bro. Cringe. Fast forwarding through the lame ass beginning. There we go.
I wish StreamYard had like a fader that All right, I've got a guest.
This is the consequence of everybody using SteamYard. While it is customizable for whatever you want to use and bring multiple people in on a conference call, it is quite honestly, well, you can see some people are able to make a good brand out of it, like Side Scrollers and The Phantom Menace, Friday Night Tights, and for some, little John Delaro's out here looking like he's a fucking middle-aged man about to tell me about the best loadout for me to use inside of Monster Hunter Wilds.
Today, who promised he would not show his knees and get my channel monetized. You're confirming with a head nod that you're not going to show your knees on my channel, correct? Maybe. He might show his knees on my channel, if we're lucky. Hey, Smash, how you doing?
I'm good, John. How you doing, man?
Like, StreamYard is super basic, but you have to pay to get extra features, and some of the features, for what I would want to do, I don't like it. Nice to see you, Struggler.
Good. I'm getting a phone call from Vox Day right now, who usually co-hosts with me, and I'm not sure what to do. I guess I can answer this.
Vox Day, the known supremacist and bigot that has been a terror upon people and a blight upon people since Comicsgate.
Talk to the chat. So,
hey, chat. How's everyone doing? So, I don't even know where to even begin, but I guess we'll start with John and I have gone back and forth regarding our thoughts on what's been transpiring. And
is that what you call having opinions and then hiding behind a paywall? Is that what you call asking people to cover your drama and be involved in your fucking bullshit? Even involving Cassie in it? By inviting her onto your show and then putting that behind a paywall too? That's crazy, bro. Hello, Revan.
While we have our different standpoints, we feel like it would probably be best to expose where we're at right now and try to at least mend a bridge if possible. But at the same time, I'm sure...
He doesn't know, chat. He doesn't know.
John will be brutally honest, as I will be with him today, and we'll see where this goes.
Yeah, a couple people on your feed were suggesting, hey, let's just talk about some like commonalities to start, because we can either set a tone where we're going to be what about, and that's just going to spiral and that's stupid, or we can set a tone that's actually productive for the movement, which is kind of my goal. So I guess Vox does want to join at some point, so he might show up too. Okay. There he is. Cool. But yeah, I discovered you out of last year when you were talking with N Kotaku. And I saw that, and I thought, you know what? I cannot think of any worthier of a goal than ending Kotaku. And I think that is a guy I want to be friends with. Because
careful when you say that, because I'm...
Outright mentioning that he only notices him from the brouhaha I was shuffling up, thus decided to pick for the man to be involved. For reasons that are only reasonable. To a grifter. I mean, alleged wife beater, his court case is public, and him having to go to court because he was beating his wife is on the books. I mean, alleged wife beater versus convicted wife beater versus arrested wife beater. Allegedly. I prefer the third one. He was arrested for it. Charged, but never convicted.
Currently being sued, and part of the lawsuit is apparently by saying that that's a bad thing.
Are they claiming to say, are they trying to claim that you are trying to tell them to, you know,
end themselves?
Minecraft, rather than actually just end a company that is doing bad journalism?
No, they're just trying to, a certain person suing me is trying to insinuate that by saying N Kotaku, it was my way of trying to get her fired. And I'm like, no.
This has been a dumb talking point ever since the both of you have started your back and forth card war. She is stupid for claiming that you were trying to seek the destruction of herself and the company. You are stupid for constantly trying to beg the question and play for attention and be a lolcout in public. Both of you collectively are stupid by constantly bringing each other's name, despite being admissible in court as evidence every single thing that you do. You hopefully are not stupid enough to try and erase these things, but you need to stop replying to her. You need to stop posting about her. If you're going to watch what other people are saying, that's fine, but you can't keep bringing up Alyssa's name and then acting like it was not going to fuck with your case. The funniest thing that should happen is that both of you lose case, which is that she loses the case and precedent, but you don't get time paid back for your legal fees because you're wasting people's time. You're not approaching this case like it's a legal thing, and you keep shitposting it at any chance you can, including the fact that you are mentioning it even here in this call. Smash, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Like, that's not what it was about at all, but
well,
that was
I think they're successful in ending themselves. I mean, I'm sure you've been posting about this already, which is very exciting. This is actually, I'm just like, I got a Schadenfreude just happiness right here. And I know Vox Day here hates these journalisms with a passion, just like we do. Are you sad for the people who lost their livelihoods at Polygon? I'd tell them to learn to code, but AI is now coding, so they can't do that anymore.
I'm shocked that they still think they can call themselves journalists. There haven't been proper game journalists since computer gaming world shut down.
Wow.
There's an argument that he's correct, but the problem is that while I do not want to agree with the blatant Nazi and also the blatant bigots, the fact of the matter is that the issue with the video game journalist of current day is that they are hobbyists, and they are not hobbyists in the way that Jeff Tarzia would be a hobbyist. He is willing to collect shit and buy things for the purposes of maybe expressing them and enjoying them and playing them and preserving them for his family. Whereas a Kotaku journalist, a Polygon article writer, and a Ars Technica media expert are only journalists in the sense that they post something that is under the tagline of a website that then has their name on it. They at no point in time take any level of accountability or accreditation towards posting, because most of them, as long as they are not willing to go to the limits and degrees in which Alyssa went to, will more than likely retain their jobs. And they will be able to shitpost around the internet as intended, because it has always been like this since Leigh Alexander. It has been like this since the other one that Bloodio was talking about last night on Boss Fight Plays. And it's the Ana one. It's the Ana one that has the Latin sounding name. They have always gotten away from it, and they have always given passes. The only person who has gotten absolutely fucked as a journalist, to the point that they are not doing anything whatsoever, is the one that was an actual fucking pedophile. And that was Pumpkin Spice Fright. That was the guy that was a part of Ars Technica directly, who was out there saying the reason why anime freaks were like this is because of da-da-da-da-da, and they found out that he was unironically just consuming the content nonstop. No, not Anita Sarkeesian. It's another one. It's like Ana Diaz Thanafi something. Bloody probably knows what the fuck I'm talking about. Nathan Grayson is another one of them. Jada Jackson is another one of them. Even Rebecca Valentine is another one of them. But no, it's a very specific one. It's one of the ones that were important in the beginning alongside Leigh Alexander. Anyways, the journalists are going to find jobs somewhere. Someone's going to try to exfiltrate them out of the situation of not having a job. And they're going to go back to doing their job shitty again. And having moments like Giant Bob Couch Day 1 again. That's besides the point of what's relevant. What do the three of you actually think about these journalists? Tell me that.
Wow, that's a long time ago. Yeah. That's where we're at. And now, Smash, you actually posted the list of people who are gone. Confirmed.
Yeah, and I'm
pull up right
Yeah, and he was the first one of many who decided to be lie up there and put the layup and say, haha, look at him, look at him.
on an article right now about it. I was gonna record a video and edit it, but I'm doing this instead, so that's gonna delay that. But yeah, this is a pretty wild day in the world of journalism. Those may recall.
Is it really wild, or is it just what happens when you're bad at your jobs? All of them could be able to have a job overnight if they were to go indie. Like I challenged Anita Sarkeesian to do. Excuse me, not Anita Sarkeesian. Haha! Alyssa is not that popular. That I challenged Alyssa Mercanti to do. And show everybody else how the job's done. But they're not going to do that. Because the only way that they have the power that they have is that they have always been influenced by the fact that they have the ability to speak to people who are currently working on the business and at the business. That has always been the issue. That has always been the problem. It's never going to change. They have always been focused on that and only that. They will never grow. They will never change. They will never grow and they will never change. Let's do this for CGG game giveaway. Boom. Done. 3 hours. They have never done this for that purpose. They can never get involved in that way. Whatsoever. They will never, ever actually lose their job in a capacity where they will ever actually break out and go full indie. They have only ever retained the power that they have by having the cottagecore industry be controlled with the cottage staying in the cottagecore. They need to have hands on the industry and the ability to talk to people who are in elevated positions inside of companies to be able to keep their stranglehold on having business. That is the only way many of them ever have any relevance. They have done the exact same thing for Dave Riviera that they have been trying to do for Liz Mercante on Twitter, and it's not been working out. Because people are not going to be able to lift them up. Because they do not have personalities that are capable of standing time on 3 hours of gameplay or content. Without a video game happening in the background and without their hatred of somebody veering obvious to carry their content, they are boring fucking people.
All Chris Plant was the one that was. It was like 10 years ago. He was the one that was trying to get that scientist canceled for wearing that T-shirt about misogyny. That was a while
right.
ago. He was that guy. And it's like, man, when I go through the list of names and these people, they are just. I mean, maybe there are exceptions, but by and large, it's just awful person after awful person after awful person.
Well, the one that is really making the rounds is our good friend Jeff Grubb here.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, of Fandom Giant Bomb. Yep. Main article head at the top, video content producer, down the shitter. Maybe he can break him through by getting good old Fat Man Jeff to give him a boost on his channel.
Wow, just funny day. But this is bound to happen. And what's interesting is to me, and I've been talking about this just from like what this means, because Polygon now is under the umbrella of Valnet, and Valnet is actually probably one of the worst evil corporations out there. And what they're going to do to Polygon is they are going to
let me jump ahead and
Go
can
ahead.
I guess?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are they going to turn it into a automated mill of basic AI content just to pump out
That
as
is
much stuff as
exactly
possible?
what I was going to say.
Correct. And that's why it's not good to celebrate the fact that they've gone the way of the dodo. Because now they are going to make content that compares against and competes against content creators like myself and content creators like Horror. If she makes anything at all that could ever be picked up by any of the bot crawlers. They're going to turn it into automated slop, and they're going to pour out that automated slop to SEO algorithm engagement, or they're going to steal from our work, and they're going to take views from us through operating engine to try and jump on whatever happens to bleeding lead.
Top 5 video games to spend the evening with your cat. You know?
But you know what the funny thing is ironically they might actually start getting more traffic from that over what they had. Think about that for a second too. That's how bad it was.
Well, the AI writing now, especially with Claude 3.7 Sonnet, is better than the average journalist writing.
By far.
I mean, you can do a pretty effective simulation of Neo Gaiman. We've seen a pretty effective emulation of Larry Correa, and so being able to do basic journal pap is not going to be an issue for it.
It's almost like they looked at activism as a way to fight back against AI, thinking that was the path forward to be like, oh, if we're activists in here, AI can't really replicate that, so we'll be activists in the space.
I've got Larry in AI. Do you think he knows? Do you know who Smash JT is? I programmed a Larry, so we'll see what he says. Smash JT, don't ring a bell. Look, I interact with a lot of people online at cons, but unless this guy's an author I've worked with or someone I've had significant interactions with, I probably don't know him. If he's some YouTuber or social media personality, there's about 1,000 of those guys now. I don't keep track of all of them. I'm too busy writing books and running my business to keep up with every content creator out there. Is this some gotcha question where you think I should know who this person is?
It is amazing. It is amazing how well this does. You may not realize it, but this, Larry is somebody that I actually know, and this is how he talks.
Exactly.
I mean,
I programmed it perfectly.
It's frightening.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So AI is pretty funny, and I reported on Worldcon blowing itself up over ChatGPT today, also, which we can talk about later because it's kind of irrelevant to the video game circles. But that's the World Science Fiction Convention, and they are canceling the convention because the convention used ChatGPT to filter who they wanted for their guest panelists this year. And just because they used ChatGPT, everybody's super outraged at them. And they've actually now deleted their post on Blue Sky after they've been getting ratioed about it. So
Not surprising.
they're all losing, and I think that's where it's easy to because I honestly look at this year compared to last year. Let's all be honest. The content of the SJWs and what they've been doing has slowed down tremendously because they're scrambling and they don't.
They're not scrambling. They exist on a website that isn't actually propensed in real fucking time. Blue Sky is where they're going to, and they don't post content on YouTube. They've always existed on posting content that then links back to their personal websites or to a Substack. Which is not a bad tactic and strategy. It's just that the people in question who are posting to their Substacks are not relevant content creators. I don't want to hear Jeff Grubb's opinion on Substack because Jeff Grubb can't tell me something that I can't find out about a video game myself. It doesn't matter what his opinion is. Same way it wouldn't matter for Ilsa Mercante about her opinion. What they should be doing is they should be writing from passion and posting to a Substack so that they won't have to worry about having a byline to write under and act like they have to sell their goddamn sword to go around the internet writing articles about how best you can play fucking Hello Kitty Island Adventure. Or, more accurately, Infinity Nikki. I have ideas, chat. Chat, I have ideas. But they're not going away. They're going to websites that you don't frequent. They're going to Reddit. Or they're going to Hugbox Discords. They're going to Substack. They're talking in private business Slacks and group Slacks. And they're talking on Telegram groups and Parlor groups. And for the very few of them that know how to work in the deep web and the federated internets. They're going to the safe federated internets and Tumblr posts. They're going to the places where you won't see them. That doesn't mean that they go out of the way. I heard about the Infinity Nikki girl caught? No. I had an idea for content involving Infinity Nikki. Shh, don't tell Saf. Shh, 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 shh. It's gonna be funny. But they're going to places where we can't see them, and there are very few content creators that are following up to watch them. Another place that they happen to be going to and talking is LinkedIn. And Smash JT burnt himself out of that bridge. Has no interest in going back there, has no interest in relabeling itself for him to go back there. So you can't find out what they're saying because none of you are willing to go and watch. You're willing to mock them on Twitter because Twitter has become a space. That's the point, Alex. That's the point. Because Twitter has become a safe space for the right wing. The same way that Blue Sky has become a hug box in an alternate world state for the left wing. The same way that Reddit has become a hug box for the left wing. Because remember, there are no links that are being spent on X or Gitter that are linking back to Reddit sites. Because they're trying to stop the spread of information from the site from crossing over. So we're not seeing it and we're not hearing about it unless it's really funny shit that's then being cross-posted like content creators by myself or content creators that are speaking across the wens. And considering that I think 4chan is still down, let me fact check that in real time. No, 4chan's back up now. But in the sense that you had 4chan down for a significant amount of time, you have people going fucking dry without content to post about people that they wanted to hate and hate stalk across the platform and talk shit about inside of the relevant threads where they would want to be seen and heard. To the point that they started reposting SpongeBob memes about their content. So, in order to really say where they're going, you actually have to know about what they're doing. Which is the reason why I would even want to look at a stream like that of people like Anita Sarkeesian when she chooses to do something public, or people like Alicia Mercante when she chooses to do something public, or even Dave when he's streaming on his channel linked to the PASP, because that's the only way you're going to hear about it unless you go to Kiwi Farms. Very few of them are willing to say shit because so many fucking people, and I cannot stress this enough, do not know how to deal with people who delete fucking everything. People are so smug that they do not think, I need to archive first. They just run their fucking gums and suddenly delete, 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 and nobody archived it. It's as easy as putting archive today in your broadband, clicking on the button when you're on a web page you want to archive, like a tweet or a Blue Sky message. You can use full page screen capture for the same thing, because it's what I use to be able to capture the full page of that thread from people like Jello Apocalypse. You click either of those buttons, you let the process run its course, or you wait till the whole thing fully downloads, you take the picture, you save it somewhere, and then you make an article with it by going through it, so that no matter what they fucking do, you have a copy of what was sent there, so that it's saved. No one's thinking to do this, because they're used to other people doing it for them. And it's the reason why shit's falling behind. Nobody knows what the fuck's being said because nobody's willing to do the goddamn work to edit and archive. Except people like myself. And then they don't give credit. They just steal it.
They don't have a narrative and they don't have a unified front and they lie.
Well, that's a lie. They do have a narrative and a unified front. It's gaming needs to sanitize the chuds out of gaming. You need to give us more money. That's the narrative.
They took a major L because Trump won, right?
Well, they also kicked all of us out. And so we're all off doing our own thing outside of their areas of influence. And so they don't really know what to do because they don't create. You know, and they can't imitate what we're doing successfully because either it's too right wing for them. Military science fiction is not something that an SJW is going to do well, and they're way too lazy to do something like we've done and build up a whole publishing system themselves.
Right. Yeah, they're never going to do anything like that. And
well, it's not that they can't do it; it's that they're not interested. They were doing it to try and take over our stuff. They were doing the equivalent of taking our candy, taking it out of the box, pulling it out. Anna Vollins is one of them. I didn't mention her by name; she's one of the other people. But nobody wants to respect Anna Vollins because Anna Vollins is crazy. For examples of that, please just simply look up posts that I've made about her. Or go to Kiwi Farms and listen to that thread where she talks about how she likes to breed white women. They're doing the equivalent of taking a piece of candy, licking it, and saying, na 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 na, I licked your candy, na 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 na, it's mine now. Do that 50 billion times, and people are going to be like, okay, I'm going to buy my own box of candy. Or as I used to say in the past, build your own Patreon.
Well, I guess from what we're hearing, they are starting a Discord server to talk about perhaps starting a website.
You guys were there. All of you here were there when I explained that about Anna Volins when we were going through that Kirsch video. Don't act brand new. And if you forgot, too bad. I'm going to remind you, but not right now.
Maybe. And I hear that all these out-of-work journalists are going to join a Discord server together. Should be very active.
I heard about that as well. Ironically, former Kotaku journalists already started, what was it, Aftermath? They already did their own site. They already have that going. It's user supported. And they're doing, I guess, okay. I mean, it's been there for a while, but not okay enough to bring on more. And I don't
Are they a
think
Patreon system, or do they have their own back-end system that you can't even look at, like what they've actually got?
They all use Patreon. Almost all of them use Patreon because Patreon is politically centered on trying to support people and politically centered on also removing people they don't like. It started with Sargon, it started with Six X and Hammer, and it's been moving ever since. For like 10 years now.
I think it's just like a subscription service to access the articles, but I haven't dove into it too far. But my greater point being is I don't think they have the bandwidth to take on more people because the money's just not there. And like thinking about, like just from my perspective, running SmashJT.com, like thinking about like hiring another person to help write and stuff like that is a massive...
Why do you need to have a person help you write? Don't you just take the same script you use for the video onto the fucking article? It's the exact same shit. What do you mean? Well, how do you need people to help you write, Smash?
Massive undertaking just for one person.
I've done it. Trust me, I know.
I know. That's why I'm bringing it up to you here. It's a massive undertaking. And I almost feel like these pro game journalists were coddled so much. They brought up the expectation in their own life that there will just be money and jobs available. And it's like, no, that's not how this works. You need to be able to provide some sort of insight that brings something new to it, that pays for you. Like you
Right.
need to pay for yourself to pay your way here, because otherwise it's not a charity.
Realistically, the only thing that put them into that mindset was USAID. USAID and the Obama era, when Obama injected cash flow money directly into the Gawker site websites before they went the way of Waypoint. And then, once they fully converted to the Waypoint system, they realized, oh shit, you guys are actually fucking useless, you don't write anything worth a damn. So, we have to create a G4 system where one person does all the video game playing, and then another person writes the articles, and then another person is the video presenter of a cracked and Funny or Die and Funny Junk and Dimension 20. But unfortunately, the problem with that is, like Indiana Frost Skinner Black, Frost got her shit pushed in when they admitted that that was what they were doing. Because it's the equivalent of being Anita Sarkeesian, putting together tropes versus women, stealing content and stealing video gameplay from someone else's channel that you've uncredited and had unlinked, and then saying you played the games, because you didn't. It's paid agitprop. Yes, exactly, Bloodia. It's paid agitprop. And you're stealing people's money and expecting them to give you more money for shit that you're stealing from them. Well, at the same time, having a hush-hush, wink-wink system of if you push democratic position points and talking points, we will give you influence and support. It's like a streamer who is democratically left-wing, like Nicolo, or Pokimane, choosing to have Sandy Cortez on their stream. And when Sandy Cheeks come on, it's like, oh my god, guys, you gotta vote Democrat. It's so important. Let's play Fortnite. Oh my god. Let's play Among Us. Oh my god. It's not helpful, dude. It's not helpful whatsoever. And why doesn't YorchTorch doing these? Well, keep watching, Bloody, you're gonna find out.
And it's quite a grind to get there because people just don't like subscription services in general. So that's a thing that you got to build up pretty good. I'm happy we're at 205 paid subscribers now. I've been a pulse, so thank you guys for doing that. But yeah, this year's been kind of odd. And like I said, last year was very easy because the Assassin's Creed Shadows stuff, like you just put Assassin's Creed Shadows on a YouTube video and you've got 100,000 views, and it doesn't matter.
That is a lie. The only way you get 100,000 views on a video talking about Assassin's Creed Shadows is if you're already grifting. Because you're not sharing around the attention to any person who happens to be outside of your sphere of influence. As was very clear when you started to go right in making the rounds against the people who were salacious against John Del Rosa directly, against John F. Trent directly, against Melody Mac directly, and against any person you couldn't directly use to influence in content and cope. And we know from what I had in my interactions, what others had in their interactions, the second that a single person actually knew what the fuck they were talking about, you were trying to dismiss them and run away from them. As you ran away from me, and from Cassie, and from others in the sphere of influence.
And it was going crazy. And as soon as Trump won, YouTube changed its algorithm in January and February.
I wouldn't say they changed it in January and February. It's long since been like this. It just got shittier.
and I don't know if a lot of people realize this, and this impacted a lot of people because they did it on the user end. Because I got this information from Clownfish TV, who really did a lot of research on this. And Clownfish TV, who's been at this way longer than we have I think they got 3 or 4 million subscribers, something like that, said he had his worst February in 5 years. And he was like, I can't explain it. I've been talking about topics. It's the same. He says, what I gathered is they actually, on the user end, turned off something for the users to find our channels on their recommended screen.
The way that it works is this has been the system in which I've been using with some of my updated posts, as has been the point of what I've told Jay as well. There is a button. There's a button underneath in Info More when you're uploading a video. It is a button that says, click this to alert my users. And when you click this button, or if you use importing features, like say clips from Twitch, that then get sent to your YouTube feed to be uploaded as YouTube Shorts. Not manually uploaded, but export loaded. This button is checked. And when you watch our content, if you don't engage with this material within a certain time frame of upload, it's about 1 to 5 hours of upload. It depends based on your channel size, but for mine, it seems to be somewhere around 1 to 3 hours of upload. It takes that content and says, nobody watches this shit. This content is dead, and it redirects the algorithm away from my content. Those of you might notice, the stream VODs and the videos that come from the direct live upload have a different watch time than videos that are directly made and watched from uploaded content on the algorithm of my channel. So, for content like, as I click on the side here, for content like things that I was uploading 6 months ago, such as David Jaff interviewed Alyssa Mercante, here's what happened. That 4-hour VOD has 263 likes. Realistically, for the size of my channel and my audience, considering how many people are a actual number of realistic people, that's in line with the amount of views that I have. Compare that against something from 10 months ago, like the Mortal Kombat 1 rug pull, and the Concord YouTube supremacy, or white supremacy, and the Degen furry therapy that we were watching back then. That's about 127 views. On the lives, for some of my stuff, you can have anywhere between 148, 40, 47, 135, and maybe on other things you'll have something pushing upwards of 200, 300. That's normal for a live stream channel for something like myself. Then when you look on shorts, those are pretty much all over the board, hit and miss. But for things like fixing Adi, or the explosion heard around Twitch, H3H3's Hassan hit piece, those pieces of content, depending on how many people are actually watching them, of any particular size, whether they clicked on it because it had a good thumbnail, or they clicked on it because they wanted to hear my take, on a near, let's call it 3-hour closed video, I have double the clicks of a near 5-minute video that is just a post-moratorium of Netflix Devil May Cry. This is a reaction of the algorithm telling you should click on this. Because 4 months ago, a near 4-hour video, the forbidden clopping, the squealing of Dan's Bear Studios, and him going on and on as he did, that has nearly 1,000 views on it from more months ago, compared to Refaming Space, which was leading up to the Game Awards, and then my pre-show take on the Game Awards, 87 views and 287 views, respectively. That is a result of having this channel size that I do. You look at any of those numbers beforehand, and it follows the exact same pattern, especially as I was experimenting with standardizing my video standard for the text that I'd have on the screen, or for my content. I gotta think of a new position to have in, other than looking at the camera like this, even though this is quintessentially funny as hell. I need to do my hair in order to do that, but I'm lazy. The point that I'm making here is, if you don't engage with my content as it drops within 3 hours, which for some people is hard because you live in different time zones, the system tells everyone that this isn't something worth you watching, and so it demotes it in the algorithm. It does this across everything. I know when you guys watch, I know how you watch, so I can see it actively telling you not to watch my content in this way. That is what they did to the content, and they did it to every single account. Please, Storm, do not take out my internet. They did it across all the content, across every account. For some people, it's not a problem, because if you're Asmongold, people are already watching your main channel, they're watching your VODs, they're watching your upload channels from your editors. Not a big deal. You're actually rewarded by the algorithm, because new video drops, they watch. New video drops, they watch. New video drops, they watch. For people like myself, it's hit and miss. For people like Horror, it'll be hit and miss. It's really based on how loyal your audience is to tuning into your content. If they prefer watching videos more than they do watching live streams, it's going to suck for you. Which means for people like myself, it's going to suck for me. Even for Jay, it sucks for her. Because they actively put this on your video every time. It's an automatic choice that they automatically select for your content. The technique to avoid this is that you have to uncheck this box on your content before you finish putting it through the publish. Once you click publish on your content, it grays out and you cannot unselect this for your work. Same thing for your shorts. You cannot unselect it once it's been published or is being loaded to be published. You have to take it down, re-upload it again, and unselect the option. Because what it actually does is it now takes that piece of content and it shows it to new, live, active users. Because let's say you have a channel that's 1 million. But about 90% of that audience is people who forgot that they're subbed, they don't look at their subscription box, they don't see the alerts, they didn't click the bell, they're not getting notified. 10% of that audience might be connecting with that content, and therefore they're winning by osmosis of outside traffic being brought to the video. Look at currently the follow-up of the content cop that they decided to upload on H3 immediately after the debate. That video is getting clicks, not because people are being alerted about the content. They're seeing drama on Twitter, and they're going to the video off website. This is also a metric that you can track. For my particular channel, more people are clicking on side of the content with uploads and material from the channel than they are from the updates coming from there. But the basic metadata, as can be written, is basically there are people who are coming from the Discord notifications. There are people that are coming from the YouTube notifications telling them that I have content up. There are people subscribing and also suggesting my content to other people. Like whenever I do something with Jay, coming over and telling me in the chat room live, hey, single player Carl, I didn't realize you had a channel, a yucka yucka yuck. And then every other person is clicking live on the YouTube page. But when they do, they're clicking and they're clicking off. Because they are either checking out the content, seeing that it's not for them and clicking off, or it's a user that's been directed to go there for a purpose other than to be a fan of myself. As can be obvious, as is the point in some of my recent shorts, or even some of my older shorts that exist on my channel. People just outright being dead-ass haters, while at the same time claiming that they're fans of me. It's the website directing them to do such, and it's their posting habits directing them to do such. And there's no change for it. There's nothing I can do to physically change it and stop it. What I could best do is find a new audience injection and throw them at the algorithm for them to say, listen, my channel's alive. I have real users. I post real content. Because that's the only solution. It has to have people actively engaging in the material and leaving comments and leaving posts and engaging. Leave a like, leave a dislike, leave a comment. That would be the best way to change the algorithm. But you can't make people do that, because if I was to do that, that'd be botting. And I'd obviously be illegally botting my likes and my subs. And then I'd get banned. So they have directly fucked with the website in such a way where natural algorithmic growth for a person who's grassroots has become even shittier. To the detriment of every other channel, because they're doing it to signal boost and increase the channels of those that are clearly content farms. That's the only person who's benefited from this. A content farm. Like the what culture people. What culture, what horror, what anime, and other things like that. The aggregator channels that have top 5, top 10, best of lists. And then content creators that have been afloat for the longest time, but maybe they've hit a rut with a certain type of content, but then they started getting a lot of algorithmic push. A good example is Raffle. Raffle already had a channel, then he has Raffle Light, where he's basically live every single day doing Gold Stake Balatro. The amount of push that he's getting for his content is equal to the amount of push before the OnlyFans breakout of Pirate Software. It's basically algorithmic promotion for people who are doing YouTube correctly, but everybody else is getting fucked because it's big bank tick little bank every time. Besides that, moving forward.
And I did some research into that on my own. I dropped by about 2/3 around that time. And I've seen Social Blade, your channel had a similar drop, and everybody's channels across the board had a similar drop. And that's stressful as hell, guys, because again, we are running operations and trying to run businesses here, right?
Mine didn't drop at all.
Yeah, Vox. That's because you're banned from YouTube, so.
I've been banned for so long, I don't even know what I was
sorry.
I wonder why that is. I wonder why Vox Day's banned, boys.
So they're pretty big, and so they have that problem. And I actually got a call from a buddy who's in the paranormal space, not even the sort of culture war space, but like he just covers UFOs and shit. But the thing is, he's got a largely conservative-leaning audience, and that happened to his channel too. That's kind of how we started to correlate that it was done on the user end and not on the actual YouTube channel end. And so that sort of stress combined with like, there's not a lot going on. Like, I mean, yeah, we have body type 1 and 2, but there's not a new Yasuke out there right now to like all really find, right?
No, the problem is that you guys are running out of steam. I talked about this with Cassie, as I mentioned earlier in the app-in. Like, you niggas are running out of steam. You're running out of topics to talk about. You're running out of targets to hit. You're running out of red meat. You don't have anything to go off on because none of you have any actual passions. You're supposed to be a comic editor. You're supposed to be a comic creator. Neither of y'all niggas are doing shit about comics. Where's your crossover with %? Where's your crossover with content creators like my friend Piper? Where's your crossover with any fucking person who's working in space? Where's your indie books? Where's your material? Nowhere. You ain't doing shit. You're involved in the culture war. Every day, on Twitter, bitching, lying, whining, crying, lying. And of course, drifting your ass off. Because you cannot help yourselves. You are obsessed. You are obsessed. And ever since you fell into the perfect cash cow of calling somebody a transgender, insert word here, TROON, you can't help yourselves. You don't play video games. You don't play video games on camera. And when some of you choose to go on camera, some of you, I'm drawing a circle around Smash JT said, some of you are saving face and hiding. Every time you take an appearance, you don't go into a place that's going to be hostile towards you. And you don't know how to win over the audience that's there because none of you have good passion for the material that you're doing. The only time you open your mouth is to make fun of somebody, and that's it.
Right?
But the other issue, and one of the commenters just brought it up, said, "You're not wrong, JT. The journos actually need to play the games as well." And I think that's very significant because you
need to play the games too. How much money do they give you every Smashcast? And you're not playing live? A fucking Twitch channel is free. Free.
Back when I was a proper game journalist, JT, you probably wouldn't know this, but I was a nationally syndicated game columnist back in the early 90s, and then I wrote for CGW and
who cares? What are you doing right now, Vox?
Electronic Entertainment and so forth. And we could not write a review for Computer Gaming World unless we had signed a thing verifying that we had completed the game. Now, you were allowed to use cheat codes, but we often didn't have them because we tended to have the very first Gold Master that might not have the cheat codes in there for the release. And so, I mean, I did the cover review for Heretic when it came out. Raven Software's Heretic based on the Doom engine. And I had to do it. I played it through in 18 hours, wrote the review, and then went to bed, hadn't slept, hadn't eaten, nothing. And I was seeing Heretic stuff in my dreams for 2 days. Yep. But they don't do that anymore. They don't play through it. And they also don't. The worst thing is that there's this huge independent games industry out there that they don't pay any attention to. All the stuff that's on Steam and all the stuff that's out there. But they were never reviewing games like Dwarf.
That doesn't correlate. The indie scene is not Steam. The indie scene is people putting content out. Steam is just the people who are responsible for putting out games when they get the ability to sell them. You see a lot more content going through the doors of itch.io than you do anything else. Shit. The fact that I was a person who worked on Five Nights at Fuckboys, and that was a free product put together by a designer who got all of our efforts together, a person who was a fan of turn-based RPGs, a person who knew how to balance the games, a person who knew how to voice them, and knew what to use to do in lieu of having voice actors, and had the time to put together the gameplay to playtest the even more than annoying hardest super bosses, all with the direction and vision that was put together by Sable Sugar. All of that was made possible by sites willing to put the shit out for free. Effectively made a janky-ass fucking RPG Maker v Ace system comparable to Witch's House. And yet, it didn't stop any of us from getting that work done. Not many of us made any kind of profit on that. We just did it for the love of the game. For the love of the game, Vox. For the love of the game. So you're telling me you're not willing to go to itch and put it out there? Damn, that's crazy. That's wild, bro. Imagine being worse than Markiplier. Or, rather, imagine being lazy as fuck and not being willing to make the Yemi Mash / Markiplier move. Tells you something.
Fortress or even really significant stuff that was breaking new ground. They paid no attention to it.
Well, I'd almost say like the dynamic of the game has shifted over the course of the past 20 plus years, where back then it was manageable. for major releases to review them, get them out, have a staff of people, and cover the games. The industry has exploded. Games are being released multiple times a day on
And
Steam. I mean, obviously not major titles, but there are some gems that come out that people find out sometimes years down the road. It's like, oh, I didn't even know that game was out. No one ever even talked about it. That kind of thing happens. And back in the day, I feel like it was a lot more manageable, and people had a lot more passion. People were brought into the industry because they loved gaming, and they had a marriage, a perfect marriage of I love gaming. Oh, there's games to cover. Great. And then it kind of shifted into, yeah, I kind of like games. I've played games. I have a buddy that works there. They can get me a job. Sure. Oh, they're activists. Sure. I can push a cause. Sure. And that's what it turned into.
That's not how it started. What it started from, Smash, is it started from, he's a Twitch streamer, he plays games religiously, let's give them a link to the system. Let's have all these people come in. Let's do headhunting. Oh, wait, we could just pay Twitch directly to be able to have these people play our video game? Oh, well, let's just get the top 50 streamers in each category and all give them free links. Oh, we're going to listen to any of the people in the middle of the field and also the lower content creators? No! Why would we do that? Why give a game to a person who's streaming to 5 people when I could give a game to a person who's streaming to 5 million? Why play one game when you can have 2? Why play 2 games you can have 5? Why play 5 games when you can have 9? I can motherfucker, you can have this game. You can have mine. That's where the industry's at. That's what it became. It became a industry game of gaining ground for attention. It became what the fuck we just talked about with Assassin's Creed Shadows and people like fucking Hassan Piker being paid money to look over a game and play as an ad something he does not care about. They wanted to go with the biggest blood and bleed hits. And it doesn't work because they don't care about games. It's not a matter of too many games to be played. It's a matter of you don't have enough people with a love for that type of genre to play them. You need a person for cozy games. You need a person for the RPGs. You need a person for the ARPGs who knows how to make a build and can be able to do so on their own with just, at minimum, Path to Building or Path to Building 2 and a cheat sheet. Or willing to take notes to teach other people should they make an update and they're not available because they're doing one of the other titles. You need a person for puzzles. You need a person for Myst-type puzzles. You basically need Game Spy is what you need. Thank you, player. We're one brain cell right here. You and me, buddy, you and me. You need Game Spy, but you don't have Game Spy. Because, unfortunately, you don't even have Game Informer. You don't have Game Informer. You don't have Nintendo Power. You don't have fucking PlayStation Underground. You don't have people who are dedicated to writing about those titles and following those games as they're coming up. You are not willing to do the work that Pelvic Gaming is willing to do for her shit. You're not willing to do the work that I'm willing to do to look into games that are coming up at all. And the spear of games itself has become lowered. Because every time there's a new game title coming out, it's either $30 or it's free to play. Or it is a game that was behind a paywall that is being made free to play. Which then means the free to play warriors come through and they ruin the game. Every time, without fail. And this is something that you have wrought. You, John Delaraz, you, Smash, you, Vox Day, you, Grifters on the Internet, you, Mighty Keith, you, Dave, you, Alyssa, you, Mercanti, you, all of you, made that the fault of the industry. Because your name's not John Bain. You're not John Total Biscuit Bain. And none of you care like he cared. You're not willing to sit down and take the time to learn the content. And so you left them stranded, abandoned, no one to help them, no one to find them, no one to hold their hand, and a bunch of fucking grifters in the space looking for fresh meat to take them in. Back then, it was just nibbles. This man says who's biscuit. This man said who's biscuit. Hit Neo J with a salute and direct him towards Total Biscuit's channel, guys. No, we're not going to ban him. We're not going to ban him, Revan. We're just going to let him know, oh my lord, he needs to know. Someone, please, mods, help him. Help him. Help him. Give him a link to Total Biscuit's channel. He doesn't know what he's missing. You started with breadcrumbs, okay? It started with Twitch back in the days of Justin TV as it evolved into the modern day Twitch of 2014 period era. Then when he died, you had grifters take over and start taking in that space that he had already mastered and commonized for himself. You had people like the Gaming Brit take over some subsection of it because they had a passion for the gameplay and content they were doing. Josh Strike Hayes took over another part of it. John Tron took over another part. Pro Jared took over another part. And then every other piece scattered like swords and shields. And any person who found one picked one up and started using it like it was a piece of eight, not realizing the cosmic power that they held to direct audiences for fun. And you know who happened to take up a big chunk of those pieces? I'll give you a guess. It rhymes with rain rumps. And they tricked people into thinking that if they just joined a shit post-bag era of dirtbag leftist jokes and humor, that was good enough to being close to doing their job. Now, listen to me. I'm not saying any of the people that I'm naming by name are doing bad work. Some of them, like Josh Strike Hayes, are in fact doing the Lord's work to undo the poison that's been put into the bloodstream of people, right? But when we're talking about old members, some of which might still be running. Let me see if I can find Chaos D1. Chaos D1, YouTube. Good, he's still making content, it seems like. Where is he? Is he? No! He is not making content. Last video 3 years ago. But when you had people like Chaos D1 of MMO Grinder that belonged to the throwaways of Blistered Thumbs, you had people putting in a lot of effort and time in that time period, filling in for the Korean MMO grinders and just general MMOs as a whole. That has gone by the wayside because nobody knows who these people are anymore. But you know who they do know? Let me see if some of them are live right now. They know Shroud, they know Emiru, they know Germa, they know Double Lift, they know DS Lily, they know Perry Jungle, they know Moon, they know Shureches, they know Ouroboros, they know Kirsch, Pirate Software, Neversink, Agirin, Sinaris, a bunch of people of different types, of different sizes in these places. Variety of streamers, we call them. They know these people's names, and whenever they see them live, then they'll check out the video game. If they see them live and they check out the video game, then they'll know. Vine Sauce is another one, Tusky. They know the names of these people. They know the names of people like Wooly, and people who used to be a part of a group of people, who themselves used to be a ragtag team, just like Oni plays. They know those individuals, but they don't know them as an actual group individually. They don't know them for content that they actually put out and work on frequently. Unfortunately. Because that's the nature of Big Bank, Tick, Little Bank. And it's not something antagonistically done by these groups. You know, they got their piece of bait. They hag it, shushing. But, you know, they're just out there existing. Meanwhile, Donkey's trying to hoover as much into his mouth as much as fucking possible. Aaron's trying to hoover as much into his mouth as fucking possible. Fucking Joe Cat trying to hoover as much into his mouth as fucking possible. Because it became less about your passion and more about, do you politically agree with me? And that's when we got lost. That's when we lost Gamergate, if you really want to point where the war was lost, but the battles continued. We lost the war when the grifters sold out and decided access was more important than passion. I digress, though. Let's continue.
And that, ultimately, I wonder if it's a chicken or the egg thing. What started the downfall of the industry first? Was it...
I just named it.
Because of the activists invading the industry, or was the industry getting too big for itself, and then the activists just came in after that?
It was not. It was a loss of passion and a loss of trust within the gamer. The industry getting bloated off its size is just a symptom. It was not the actual problem. The true problem was the metastasization of those that cared more about money than they did about passion. And now we need people who will reclaim that passion again.
I think as the activists came in after, I saw the shift. You know, when I first got involved...
Voxday is correct, even though he is a Nazi.
In the game industry, it was far and away the most intelligent group of people I'd ever been around. You know, every single game designer cared greatly about the games. You know, I remember one night at the Hilton, we were sitting at the bar, and it was me, Chris Roberts, John Romero, and Mike Larson, who you may not know his name, but he's been the audio director at Epic Mega Games for 20 years. And we sat there for probably 6 hours just talking game design, like serious, in-depth stuff. And not to sell anything, none of us had anything to sell the other. We were just discussing what some of the concepts that interested us, areas that we thought things should go, and so forth.
Intellectuals in a room talking about game design the way that a person can talk about things that they remember about video games and let's put them together and make something great. The kind of thing that you don't see happen anymore because motherfuckers can't speak in public without being accused of something. Do you mind if I hop in, Mr. Carl? This is interesting. When we get to a point where I feel that it is important for me to discuss, sure. At this time, not right now. We need to get through this video. Because after this video is done, there's more to talk about on the subject matter, and then we can jump in. Okay? Okay. Love you.
You do not see that now. Not even the game journalists are incapable of asking the right questions, and frankly, the designers, most of them, not all of them, but most of them are not really of the same caliber.
That is correct. Again, that is the reason why people like to say that it's the activists and journalists that are pushing the DEI, and not... Okay, you meant later. Well, you didn't say that at first. But that's basically in line with what I was talking about. Anyways, love you. He is correct. It is many people accusing the activists and the consultants to be the ones that are responsible for putting the bullshit into the system that they're putting into the system, but it is not. It is the developers themselves being incapable of doing the work that is necessary to make a good quality game. Because, if you did not know, for things like AreaNet, which is the company that runs Guild Wars 2, they were more focused on an internal problem of people like that one girl who wrote the article trying to put out other members of the staff, talking about how they weren't doing enough for the video games, being responsible for why developers couldn't do their job. They're too focused on in-group fighting about internal monologues and views than they are about the video game problems that are currently affecting the patch that we are playing as video game players. Because the developers are not playing their own games. They're not actually hanging out amongst the players that play their games. They're too busy in the office being crouched into the fucking ground. Look at Blizzard. Look at AreaNet. Look at any game company that's currently putting out an MMORPG that isn't one of the ones that is made by Korea, and thus being held up by either the game slop that's coming out of South Korea or the game slop that's coming out of China, that's being managed by groups like NetEase.
Because there's starting in the like late 90s, all the suits started getting involved.
Do you think there was a shift in intelligence because of this? Because if you look back at the early game designs, it was a lot of strategy-based, turn-based things. That was kind of what games were built on because it's kind of what you had to do back then. And so when you're doing strategy-based and turn-based, you're coming up with systems that are very mathematic and logical, and that's the entire crux of what you're doing. Do you think that the shift came because the focus then became, hey, graphics, what looks prettier, rather, and it became shallower because of that?
Partly. I mean, obviously, I was one of the ones to blame on the graphic side since I was leading the 3D charge. But but we were looking at things that you could do that would make the game depth greater with the superior graphics. Unfortunately, what happened is that's what when I mentioned the suits, all of the money was focused on the flash. And there's a lot of discussion. You can even read it in some of the later computer gaming worlds. There were discussions about how, like, guys, you need to pay attention to the game design, not the graphics. Yeah, because and the modern game journals that we talk about, a lot of them, all they talk about. I mean, okay, you're right. Sometimes they don't even talk about the game itself. They talk about the politics behind it.
Right.
But if you look back, starting in the late 90s, early 2000s, that's when you really started reviews almost entirely talking about the graphics.
He is once again correct. Graphical fidelity assholes are responsible for beating our ass with us getting good game design every time. Because they care more about the flash of, ooh, the colors, ooh, 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 oh my god, I love the colors, and it's all on ultra, and my benchmark is high. They are responsible for why we're stuck. Because graphical fidelity chuds do not understand that if I can't see shit, 300 times 0 is still 0.
And which was stupid because your graphics, we knew they were going to keep improving. So what's the point? Even talking about it. You know, it's much less not talking about the game design. What really screwed things up, in my opinion, is the publishers were afraid to let the game designers give power to gamers over other gamers. And so what you started seeing, like if you look at the old designs for the early Battlefield games, the early Call of Duty, there were a lot of mechanisms for interoperability, for cooperation in multiplayer games.
You have commander roles that actually bestow different things upon other people. For
right,
yeah.
and they moved actively away from that because the publishers were terrified that was going to cause some of the people to not want to play it. And they didn't realize that they should have pursued that. I mean, I have a design we're working on right now that is literally built around that concept. And the problem is...
That's what made Vanilla WoW PvP so fun, and Eldrac Valley had that component to it.
Yeah, I mean, a very, very small component, but it was super important because if you played cooperatively and you listened to your general, you would often win. Or if you just ran around and played like Fortnite players do, running around like a chicken with your head cut off, you would lose. Unfortunately...
Playing your life, as they call it.
You know, the games went towards, driven by the publishers, pushed by the publishers' fears, they went to the lowest common denominator. And that's, you know, Fortnite to me was Epic basically throwing up their hands and saying, fuck it. If you guys just want to run around and act like chickens with your heads cut off, go for it. And
they made a lot of money doing that.
And it is the reason why they make so much money, because it's what has now pushed most development in the direction allowing the weekend warriors and the fucking dumbass kids to run amok. It's what makes video games with any kind of structure completely impossible, because nobody learns how to play a video game. Now, this is entirely separate from what the fuck we're here for, but that's why most video games are fucking shit. Anything that has structure, people try to ignore and say, I ain't gotta learn anything. I don't gotta read the material. I ain't gotta do no tutorial, no manual. It's better if I don't. And they usually come away looking even shittier in a gameplay where they're fighting an intelligent opponent. And then when they get dog walked, they blame the designers for a shit game when they never fucking did the tutorial in the first place. Even if they were interested in, and they weren't just grifting off of it for a simple bit of attention.
Well, but I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
Fair.
I'm saying that there's something wrong if that's all everybody's doing.
Right.
You know, everybody's chasing the same thing, and so
Right.
all the hardcore players just kind of drifted away gradually because who cares?
Correct.
You can't play intelligently if it's just all about who can cheat best or who has the fastest Twitch reactions and so forth.
Correct.
There's no thinking, there's no strategy. It's just pure Twitch reaction.
Correct.
I'm gonna grab some super chats because we got a few lined up. North Scout, Black Scout, and Hatchet. Me too. I think we have a lot more in common than we don't have in common. So I think this whole thing's been really silly, and mostly it's just a product of text online and the way kind of Twitter works more than anything else. I mean,
No, it's not Twitter. It's y'all niggas. It's you.
do you have that same impression, Smash, for the most part?
I mean, yes and no. I think a lot can be lost in translation, but at the same time, there are certain tweets out there that I would question. But yeah.
Okay. Doctor says, appreciate you guys clearing the air and discussing things as men. God bless you too, brother. Thank you. Matt
I just want
says,
to point out that I was not at all involved in this Twitter war.
because you're banned from Twitter, Vox. I mean, it's not. You're banned from YouTube, banned from.
I wonder why he's banned from all these platforms. I wonder if there's a designing philosophy that is responsible for why Vox Day is not on the platforms. Maybe you should know these things, or maybe you know them and you're not saying why he's banned from them.
Twitter and so you don't have any problems with anybody. It seems to solve every. Maybe that's the answer.
I'm a man of peace. Actually, but if you don't mind, I would like to bring it up. We don't have to address it now, but I would like to at least Smash. Do we call you Smash? What is the correct way to address you?
Oh, whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure I'm getting the
Yeah,
right person here. It's always a pain when we've got John Trent and John Del Rose on. So
That is right.
anyhow, but I would like to ask a question about because I don't know you and I don't know anything about what's going on. But what was going on with Razorfist? What objection did you have with Razorfist? I work with him. I publish his stuff, and I was just a little bit taken aback by. I read the Fandom Pulse article, and I was like, wait, what's going on? And if you don't mind, I'm not. This is not a gotcha thing. If you'd just rather not
I mean, apparently, calling people heathens and idiots is in fact lost in translation, buddy.
discuss it, that's absolutely fine. But I just, as long as I have the opportunity, I wanted to ask you what was up, what's going on.
That's fine. It's kind of like a pretty loaded question. If you don't know anything about it, I don't know how much time do you have.
No,
we all know Razorfist. This chat, like, we're very good friends with Razorfist. I mean, really is what it comes down to. So on our end, what we saw from, I don't even know how you call this, but do you call the faction split like Goonergate? Is that really where we should label it? I don't even know how to label it.
I guess that's probably the most accurate way to
yeah.
label it. Yeah.
So, but there seem to be
Leads with the words himself. What do you call it? Do you call it Goonergate? I don't know these terms. What are these things?
a split really at the holistic look at this, where that group seemed to get really mad at the, I'd say, more right-wing creators in the space and try to be. Would you guys characterize yourselves as like centrist? I'm not sure where you are politically. I don't follow that closely.
Politically, here's the funny thing. I don't think politics really matter in the gaming space.
Wrong answer.
I don't want politics in the gaming space. I think that's where the divide comes in, though.
That is a lie, because if you didn't have politics, you wouldn't have drama. And if you didn't have drama, you wouldn't have content.
So I don't know if this is really the Razorfist question to answer, but your answer like a question.
It's fine. It's not a loaded question. It's not a gotcha question. I don't know if you're aware, but I live in Europe, and I pay no attention to YouTube. I've been banned from all the various major platforms, and so I don't get involved in any of the conflict and the drama for the most part. And so, but I did read the.
No, that's different, Vox saying. You're not allowed to get involved. You would have to go through on an alternative account, and if you were to go there, you would then get banned for ban evasion. You are pushed out of the public square, and for good reason. Reasons which have not yet been said yet, but don't worry, chat, they're coming.
I did read the Fandom Pulse article, and I did talk to Razorfist, briefly, just to say, hey, I read it, we don't care. But I just thought as long as you're here, if you wanted to talk about it, I wanted to ask you about it.
I react to a lot of videos on my channel. I put out almost on average a video a day. That was a live stream that I stream every single night.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, I kind of think it's silly because like this, I don't know what makes him so special and so different to take such exception to someone covering a story, which is what I do every single night and giving my thoughts on it. He seems to, in my opinion, feel like he's above the commentary community or conversation.
No, he's above the drama that you motherfuckers get yourselves involved in. It's crazy as hell, bro.
And people can't watch something and talk about something. Now, as far as the allegations that have been levied his way, I even said in my stream last night, like, that's really unfortunate. And if those things are not true, I am genuinely sorry that came across that way. My impression was just, hey, this is a very dark area that it goes into, and it doesn't look great. That was my takeaway in my video. In fact,
that's not what you said in your content, and that's not what you said talking about it.
I watched it on
Well,
my
here,
stream last
and this gets into kind of my perception of kind of where all this went with that crew, the Gooner crew or whatever, is that there became a concerted effort for that crew to turn.
Name the crew. Who is a part of the crew? Who are the members of the crew? Please put names on faces.
the attention to more right-wing and Christian creators out in the space, and not only just disagree with, like, you know, I don't like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 because it's got graphic gay sex in it, which was underage until the patch. Optional gay sex, yes. Optional rape, right? And so I was like, I don't want to play gay stuff ever. And for some reason, that spiraled and snowballed into people personally attacking me, attacking my, going into
You guys led and buried the lead and then were exposed as having lied because it was a mistranslation from the people who were involved. Even though the situation itself developed that he was indeed using it as an optics point, many of you were doing the exact same thing that Rebecca Alexander did. Rebecca Valentine did, not Alexander, different journalist. Did, and that was mistranslating his posts and doing so, as was confirmed on a post on Twitch that showed the actual translations of what was said. And your immediate response to that was the same shit that you said every other time, which is, lol, that doesn't matter, gay sex, optional, gay sex. Fuck out of here.
There's family and shit. It's very weird. And that's exactly the same sort of thing with Razorfist here. I feel like Razorfist has some thoughts on some video games, and instead of staying on the topic of what is the important thing about the video games, these guys went full scorched earth and said, we're just going to just bring up every dirty accusation, whether it seems true or not. And like, don't equivocate on this. It's bullshit what they're saying about Razorfist. And like, I'm going to say this right here. Like, there's no reason to give it credence.
That's fair, but I just disagree with the premise of that, because the reason why I think it actually has merit and value is because of the standpoint that he was taking. And then going into, seeing a potential dark person and things that are, at least on the surface, fairly sketchy, and then contrast that with the image he's trying to portray as a holier-than-thou online, I feel like it was important to provide context.
There's this thing called a character, and half the time Daniel's playing it. Ignoring that, sure, let's go with that, JT.
To be like, it's almost like
sure, if those charges were true, then obviously you would have a very strong case to criticize hypocrisy and so forth. Yeah, but as
the job is the journalist to commentate first, though, and this is where Fandom Pulse really excels, is you look up and you do the research before coming out with a hot take on it and just being like, it might be true. If it's true,
immediately just like, and this is where we excel at this job. Fandom Pulse looks into the details and tells you whether or not you are getting 58 pounds of gas to the Juden.
Really bad, because that's just trying to...
That was a horrible joke. I apologize on behalf of all of those that enjoy Sabra. Red peppers for life!
About somebody, and that doesn't do any good for the movement. It doesn't do any good for...
I feel like provide...
That needs to become an unofficial motto of the stream. It gets even worse. I have half a mind to pay Horror $30 just so that I can have a clip of that, so that I can use that in material for Radio Carl. Not right now, Horror. I don't have the money to pay you if I wanted to do that idea, even if I wanted to. But swear to fucking God, these are the jokes, and I don't stop telling them. I'm a close quarter comedian. Work your diaphragm like a sandbag.
What I've seen here, right?
And also providing additional context to people so that they understand the full story of what the information we have available. I don't want to hold things back or hide things from people. This is something
I published the book that broke the story about with the daughter of Marion Zimmer Bradley. Right. We've been at the forefront of criticizing the serious problem, generational, decades-long problem of pedophilia in science fiction. That's one of the reasons why both JDA and I are so anathema to the WorldCon community. But
sure, Day.
I mean, I can say with great confidence that the things that they were, the allegations directed against Razorfist were not only untrue but obviously false. And right. I think if you look into it, you will find that without any problem at all.
What can I say, chat? Don't stick your dick in a hot booty Latina. Don't stick your dick in hot booty Latina. You can't stand for this shit. Good night, Carl. I'll cast a vibe. See ya, Revan. Don't stick your dick in a hot booty Latina. She might try to fuck your life up. And fuck your ass. And then lie about you. And hope that nobody records the Carl on the VOD. For examples of what I'm talking about, just simply go to his channel. It's the most recent video he uploaded. He uploaded it both on YouTube and on Twitter. Big booty Latinas. Not even once. Unless you drink whiskey. Or tequila. You drink the worm.
And so I don't think that there's
that was the pattern I think we took exception to, and so this started to build up and it was January, February. The algorithm, and that's why I was setting that up. The algorithm's kind of cooled off. We were all kind of getting a little stressed because of that. On top of it, there's not a lot of stories out there, and so it seemed like this kind of crew got together.
There's a lot of games. There's a lot of game updates. There's a lot of things y'all could have been playing, but y'all don't play video games. So what do you mean?
And decided to just go after people personally. And
almost feel
there's
like
no
that's
reason to do that in this space. There's no reason, like, especially like attacking right and punching right on that level. It's like, what are we trying to accomplish here? And to me, that's the anathema of the movement. The entire movement's purpose is to get rid of DEI in gaming and get rid of the left. That is
No, it is not. The entire point is to remove you motherfuckers from trying to tell us about your personal politics and showing us the games that you're making with your passion and the books that you're making with your passion and the content that you're making with your passion. Getting DEI out of games is a side effect of getting them back to passion. I don't have to get you to stop talking about your politics in your content. What I need you to do is stop proselytizing to me like you are with your goddamn content, JDA. You can't stop proselytizing about how bad your content is, or about how good the enemy is, about how good your content is, about how bad your enemy is. At the same time that you're telling me that I need to vote blue no matter who, or I need to vote red till they're dead, I don't care. Tell me what's good with your work.
my entire objective in life, because they destroy everything. And I think we're on board with that, right?
You heard it here first. John Del Rosa's goal in life is to remove DEI from gaming no matter what he does.
I almost feel like that's a narrative that you're inventing, though, because I wasn't going out of my way to find content to be like, oh, I'm desperate for content. Let me talk about this.
That's a lie based on your behavior, bro. It is in fact going to be Firefest lit, Bloodia. Thank you. That's not true, JT. You go out of your way to find red blood meat every single night and you put it up on Smashcast. That's why most of the content is behind a paywall. Crashing the cream. You go behind paywalls to post your content about stuff. But if you want to take that angle, alright. You have said to John De La Roz, you feel like he's making up that narrative. That was strike 2. You made strike 1 earlier by giving him the wrong answer to a question.
It was a situation where Razorfist was full tweeting me, saying some pretty wild things about me, and I'm like, I don't really know this person. Seems like he was standing up for Melanie Mac, because apparently there was some allegiance behind the scenes that I had no idea about. So it got me curious as to why this person was propping her up and defending her and trying to knock me down, and that's what led me down the path. It wasn't like a path of, oh, I need content. It was that was not that never even entered my mind during it.
By the way,
it never even entered my mind, even though that was exactly the behavior that I chose to take the entire way, and I tried to play the shit for attention and for drama instead of just focusing on the shit that was important or saying, you know what, this is not worth my time. I got games to get back to talking about. Like the journalist that you attempt to act like half the time.
In answer to one of the folks' questions, the reason that I'm here is because, A, this is a show that I do weekly with JDA, and secondly, I'm both JDA's publisher and Razorfist publisher, among other things. So
people questioning why VoxDay is even here, not knowing exactly how deep into the shit that they actually are.
That's why I'm here. I'm usually here. It's the point.
Let me grift a little bit, Vox. Jeez, you guys never let me get to that. It's terrible. Geek Avenger, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Glad to have you here, brother. Sleep Deprived Bear says, thanks for showing up on stream, Smash JT, hoping for everyone's future success. Yeah, I think everybody should be a success in this space, except for if you're a Polygon or Kotaku or IGN reporter. Those are the only people I want to see fail.
We can definitely agree on that.
Max for $10 Smash said JDA wasn't Christian because of what he said about our elder brother. But does he know what Pope Innocent and Augustine said about the topic? Oh, are we going to talk about St. Augustine and what he thinks about rape again? I mean, that was an interesting, fascinating discussion last week. So,
out of nowhere comes a $10 grenade that they specifically put out to try and get JDA to attack Smash because Smash said something about JDA. It's very, very interesting. It's very, 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 very interesting.
so have you read City of God, Smash JT?
Have I read what?
City of God by St. Augustine.
So to stay. You have to read it. You have to read the whole thing. You just have to read the first 2 chapters because it is the most mind-blowing, unexpected thing you will ever read in your entire life. I guarantee, whatever you imagined it might be, it's not.
Excellent.
We ended up with this discussion last week about.
Look at the look on his face. Look at the look at Smash JT's face. He's like, are you punking me right now? Am I being punked? Is this shit test? Look at him. Look at his snake face. Look at him. The wheels. The wheels are turning, chat. Look at him. Look at him. The wheels are turning. The wheel of fate is turning, and he is processing what's happening. And it is not necessarily working out. The wheels are turning. The wheels are turning.
But
Were we talking about in the context of, Star Wars rape? Because they put rape
Yeah, it came up because of that. So anyhow, don't miss the opportunity if you ever want to have your mind blown.
Absolutely. So what's he saying? Do you know what Pope Innocent II and St. Augustine said about the topic?
Me?
Yeah, that
No,
was the
I
question.
have no idea.
Okay, so no.
You have to remember, I don't live in your guys' world. This is not my approach to anything. So
That was strike 2.5. I don't live in your guys' world of religion.
this is what you push. Congratulations, but that's not. Or if this,
Welcome, Tusky. Thank you back to the deep fried chicanery for a month. Really? In front of your beans, Franks, and coleslaw? Yes.
this is what you believe in. I mean, sorry.
Oh, no, push. We may not realize, but I'm one of the world's biggest leather book publishers, and so we publish all kinds of classic, all kinds of classic stuff from Aristotle and Plato to modern stuff. And so
A beautiful
there's-
history of the Byzantine Empire. Like, so yeah, we're very, we're this is a very well-read chat that likes to get into deep dives here. So,
Which is fair. I think that's where
yeah.
our
which is why you have way more subscribers.
Well, I feel like that's where our divergence. I feel like that's where the divergence is, though, because it's like my mentality is, guys, I legit just want to get back to the basics of games. I don't want any of this bullshit, whether it's woke shit or religious shit. I don't want any of this in the gaming. If you want,
There's strike 3. I don't want the religious shit. I don't want the political shit. That means you're not for us, brother. We're at 37:29. Watch how this conversation starts to turn.
to make a game with religious stuff in it, have at it. If you want to make a game with woke stuff in it, have at it. But when you start pushing it and trying to use that as a platform to push an agenda, that's where I have an issue with it.
Well, let me disagree with you a bit on. In fact, this goes back to a discussion that I had with the guys at Funcom. I got brought in to fix Age of Conan back when it was starting to flag, and one of the things that I suggested that they do is to bring in fictional politics and fictional religion into the game, but to actually design it into the game so that the political factions and the religious factions would create conflict. And I had a whole mechanism for it and that sort of thing. And the CEO really wanted to do it, but he got outvoted by the board because they were basically terrified that somebody somewhere would get offended. And it was kind of too bad because then they ended up really having nothing to offer and it ended up fading away. But, you know, so I personally think it would be fine if people want to put stuff in, regardless of what it is, and whether they advocate for that or whether they use it as a...
Who touched you in your no horror square, horror? Who did it? Who did it? Who did it?
proper game mechanism or whatever, doesn't really matter. The fundamental problem is when you're basically trying to sneak it in. Whether you're trying to proselytize in a religious manner or whether you're trying to push something push some sort of politics, you know, we know that there is a active financial incentive being pushed by BlackRock and
I see.
others to
Right.
force their diversity initiatives into games.
And we learned that Embracer Group definitely had a hand in this with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 now, which is why
Yeah.
I was pretty exuberant yesterday because it came out that Vavra was hiring consultants to inject DEI in the game when he lied at the very beginning, saying, oh, it was just about the story that I put a black guy in Bohemia, right?
It was a change that was suggested by them, and it was done specifically because he was worried about people attacking him over it, because people chose to do so constantly and frequently.
Well, let me ask a theoretical question then, because Vox brings up a good point. We both agree on the whole BlackRock Vanguard thing, injecting insidiously being bad. Gotcha.
Cool.
What happens if it was the Vatican doing it?
I would have the same. I would have the same problem with them doing it dishonestly the way they do.
Ooh, look at that gut punch that JT just answered there by having an actual spine to ask a serious question. What if the Vatican, in fact, tried to proselytize into your video games?
What happens if it was the Vatican doing it?
I would have the same. I would have the same problem with them.
Look at him. Look at him. He's smiling. He's smiling. He knows what he's about to do to him. Yes, he knows. Thank you for the
Stay
5
on the
Lander.
cookie, but
The calm before the storm, indeed. Also, it sounds like Horror got hit by that RPG. Jacques win. Jacques win. Jacques win.
With them doing it dishonestly the way they do. I mean,
But if they were being honest about it, if they're saying
They were honest and open about it?
yeah,
Yes.
so saying, we have
That'd be
we have a Christian agenda, we want to push this authority into the gaming, and we're being open and honest about it, you'd be okay with that?
I'd not only be okay with that, I did that. We actually had a game.
How would you feel if they were to lie and cheat and steal to get their way? I'd be extremely happy about it. I had my motherfucker. Wait a minute. Don't tell me about all this shit. I got the rope and the holy water right here. Dumbfounded. He was dumbfounded by that answer. How are you surprised, Smash? It's your friends.
Game that should have. We had a game that should have been the Deer Hunter of its time. We did a game called The War in Heaven, which is nowhere nearly as bad as people like to pretend it is. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was decent. And it was in the very, very early stages of the first true 3D stuff, right after Quake. Walmart was talking to the guys who did Deer Hunter. They were based in Minnesota, where I was at the time. And they came to us and they said, hey, the Deer Hunter game has been fantastic. It's done really well. Can you give us a game that would be a openly Christian game, and we would sell it in the religious section, not in the game section? And we said, sure. And in fact, the funny thing is, I've been pushing them to do a World War II game, but they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't let me do it.
Well, getting off hypotheticals, can you name one AAA game that has an overtly Christian agenda that is like out there and wrecks some AAA game because it was just so over the top preachy, or even any AAA game that has a Christian agenda? Can you name one?
Not off the top of my head.
Final Fantasy Dragon Quest. The church literally has crosses on it, bro. And Dante's Inferno.
I mean, I'm sure there's some that exist, but not
And so
off the top of my
that's the thing. Like they don't.
Not
They
AAA.
don't
Not AAA.
They don't exist.
That
And
was
so
the
this is
only-
all just a hypothetical. And this is the thing. There's hypothetical.
Well, I think the hypothetical is important to
It's kind of
understand.
bullshit. Like, and so I'm talking
No,
about
no,
reality,
from-
which is the
no, but-
left.
no,
is
he
doing
was-
this, and
he
they
was
got-
asking a-
he's
he was
banned
asking
from
a question,
YouTube.
though.
I'm banned from Patreon. You're gonna if you try to show.
The hypothetical isn't important. I'm banned. Like, he's banned from YouTube. I'm banned from Patreon. Support me with the money. But wait, what about that point he was just making? Wait, what about the point that Vox Day was just making? I see. Pound the drum, pound the drum, John. Pound the drum. Just straight past your co-host. Straight. Just, in a hole. No lube. Push those talking points, buddy.
Show up at C2E2, they'll probably use Smash JT. It's like, and it's because the left controls all this stuff. Like, I mean, so we're dealing with the reality. I mean, it's great to have a hypothetical, but like, if you're focused on that, we're kind of losing the plot of what's actually going on here. Is that the DEI agenda is so insidious. It's very, very bad, and it's bad for children.
It's not that he's switching. He's reacting to the shit that he's saying, and he's actively reading the chat room that is talking at the same time in the live stream. DOJ. He's reading the chat room, and he's reacting to the shit that they're saying.
And it's bad for society. Like, everything about leftism is bad. I hope we can agree about that too.
John is now on the we are persecuted, we are Christians, we should be on our side. Don't focus on that. Focus on this.
And so, since that's pushing in that direction, and since they are trying to corrupt things in that direction, since the government was funding that direction, we still have to keep our foot on the gas and make sure that this doesn't rear its ugly head up again, because...
Keep our foot on the gas and make sure this doesn't rear its ugly head. Keep shoving politics and keep shoving religion directly into our talking points and narratives, and keep attacking. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going.
We've got just a couple of years here with Trump, and, you know, they're going to rig the midterm elections. What's going to happen at that point?
Proselytizing about them rigging our election. Talk like this would get some of us banned on YouTube, as would be the right, because this is just prognosticating and fear-mongering. This isn't asking questions. He is outright saying that they're going to do it.
I mean, it's not, DEI is not dead. We just got Disney Star Wars with a trans person and lesbian kiss just thrown into it. We just got Black Captain America. We just got Rachel Zegler replacement Snow White. All this stuff is still happening, and nothing's changed on that level.
Never mind the fact that Brave New World was a piece of shit. Never mind the fact that Rachel Zegler more than likely made sure to bring a death to the live-action remake of Disney classics, thus saving future generations from garbage retunes. For you, no thank you to that great hero. A real American hero. Killing her career because she couldn't shut the fuck up mirrors. Real American hero. History is repeating, but it's not doing the good kind.
Now, people are burned out of it because they're just like, I just want to play my freaking Oblivion. Please leave me alone. And it's like, well, you know, type 1, type 2 is there, and they did that to remove male and female. Well, so all this stuff is still objectively happening and ruining games right now. It's just maybe there's a mindset shift about it, just because like there's a point where we're like, okay, we're going to tolerate this much of it, but not this much of it. Is that?
I think that's kind of the problem, though. Is like, what are we going to tolerate? I think we need to define what it is, and I feel like that's where the divergence is. What do you define as DEI? Do you define it as if there's a
No,
I don't want
Flippant. Not even answering this question.
like a game. I want like if there's a black person in the game, does that automatically make a game woke to you?
No.
I would say no.
Okay. If there's a woman in the game, does that automatically make the game woke to you?
No.
Okay. Do you want them to be minimized when it comes to gaming, or do you have concerns over the usage of either of those? Or LGBTQ, does that automatically make it woke?
LGBTQ automatically makes it woke if it's presented in a positive light.
Big gay politics, if presented in a positive light, not written in a way that makes the character human, but is written in a way which it has any type of positivity, is automatically woke. You have failed the test, John Delaraz.
And yes, I would say.
So if I apply that to religion, if anything takes religion and presents it in a positive light as not necessarily the source of an evil faction's engine, but instead presenting it in a way where it is shown that having a religious side of yourself, like, say, something such as The Winter King, currently premiering on MGM Plus, is somehow a detriment to a product, you have just said that it is the exact same thing. Congratulations, you are now extinct to the platform. That's what obsoleting your own argument looks like, right there, in black and white. If it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander.
Yeah.
That's a moral thing.
I'm trying to think. And also, just for context, I am a evangelical Christian, and I also used to be on a gay record label called Wax Trax. So
actively telling him, listen, bro. I am one of those types, but I'm also down with the funky bunch. If you can pay me enough, I do something strange for some trains. Thank the Lord.
I kind of span the spectrum here in a way, but I would say that I am concerned about. To answer the first, you posed like 4 questions in a row. The one I was thinking about was when you're talking about, are you concerned about minimizing them? My concern is about putting characters in inappropriate ways, historically inappropriate, nonsensical ways, with an agenda in mind. You know.
So what does that look like when we do it from the religious standpoint? What does that look like? Tell me, Box Day.
That, to me, putting the Black Samurai into Assassin's Creed was one obvious thing. Another thing that I think is intentional is when, for example, when you leave out aspects of a historical culture because you don't like them. Like, for example, in fantasy writing, books, not games, you see a lot of systems that don't make sense, societies that don't make sense, because they're fundamentally medieval Christian societies, only they leave the most important medieval institution, the Catholic Church, out of it. Now, I'm not Catholic, but if I'm writing about 14th century Italy, you cannot make any sense of the history there if you don't have the papal states, if you don't have the Catholic Church.
Now, would you have the Crusaders have a mission where they root out an anti-Semite gathering in that?
No, that's absurd.
Oh, yes, and that's what DEI is, right? Because it doesn't belong there, right?
Yeah, that's what gives it away every time. And you know,
right.
if you look at the convergence, convergence is a concept that I wrote about in SJWs Always Lie, but I didn't invent it. John Stuart Mill invented it, and he talked about how all organizations and institutions and people must be made to converge to the same perspective. And that's what you're seeing with DEI. DEI is just another name for social justice. And the reason that it has to be opposed by everybody, regardless of what your religion is, what your race is, what your sexual orientation is because it is going to completely destroy anything that does not completely submit to it. That's part of its own self-definition, and that's what we're seeing with these games. Because if you don't play along, with the DEI and stuff, you're not going to get the coverage, you're not going to get the investment, etc., etc.
This is correct for Vox Day, but his answer is not do away with the cursed scepter, lock the cursed scepter in the ground, bury it with concrete, and then tell them. That's funny, NeoJ. Put a cursed scepter in the concrete, then put that concrete in a hovel that's designated as, if you touch this box, we will shoot you. And yet again, I can't leave the fucking circles! Because we're back here again. Fox Day's analysis is correct. However, he's leaving out the important part, which is the leave it the fuck alone, put it the fuck back, blood clot! That's the problem. This is why we can't leave here. You have multiple factions, but for minimum argument here, two sides. One politically woke, the other religiously woke. If woke is dogma. Both fighting for control of a cursed scepter. When you hold the cursed scepter, you have the power. It's been slowly loosening in the grasp of the left wing. And the right wing said, give me that shit! Instead of saying, put it down, destroy it, so that none may be cursed by the touch of Amun-Ra. Because as long as they get the scepter, then they have the power. And nobody can leave the scepter the fuck alone. They can't stop touching it. And therefore the rest of us are stuck here as these factions do war against each other for control of said power. It's shit that could be better broken down by fucking Dev if he was here to analyze this for me. Or with me. In fact, this would be the point where Bloody could probably chime in. But it's at this point here where you see Jeff paying attention to what's being said, and he's realizing, oh, I'm in a bad place right now. As it's slowly dawning on him the angle this discussion is going in.
Now, that whole system's breaking down because, of course, it's all propped up by government money that's siphoned through USAID and everything else. But
that's part of it.
But this system.
Would the gaming community consider the gray area in this scenario? Well, it's like let's use the city of Megiddo as an example, right? Let's say I need to have a visual aid for this. Let's say that you have a group, and that group exists on the span of a spear and a scene, and that scene looks something like the circles, right? You've got your circles, but what you also have is you have a group here, and you have a group here, and you have a group here. And what's in the circle is the cursed scepter. And every time a group sees that they can reach for power, one group tries to reach into the circle from this side, and another group tries to reach into the circle from this side. And they have to touch the inner circle inside the circle of the circle. And the circle represents the greater spear of the whole. Or if you want to go Ghostbusters, it represents the top of the Empire State Building. If you allow them into the zone, so to speak, if you let them into the inner circle of the zone, the world ends. And the problem is that you cannot be able to help the gray area of the scenario because it's both the place in which it's being protected and the battlefield, as well as the thing that needs to be destroyed. The gaming audience comes from multiple groups, as I denoted. So you got a group here, you got a group here. Let me copy this. Got a group here, got a group here, got a group here, got a group here, got a group all the way out here that nobody can see. And they're all vying for control of that inner space. But the problem is that These people are the denizens that have to rebuild once destruction has been done. When one side gains ground and touches the inner sphere, touches the scepter, corrupts everything, destroys everything, we have to rebuild. And the problem that we need to get to is that we have to get away from this structure before things go all hell's loose. Because it's like the Demon Core. And the problem is that it's not the gray zone, it's the demilitarized zone. Hence the, if you touch this, we will shoot you point. No matter how many groups you have involved, you can't be anywhere near this when it's happening. Because it all goes shit up and belly up and kaput. Because no one's willing to stop touching the blood-clot fucking cursed spear. Everybody wants the power. No one's willing to leave it the fuck alone. So the correct choice is not only not to play, but not even to be nearby for it to happen. Moving forward.
And Paulie, no, it's not just the Frankfurt School and Theodor Adorno. That's 150 years later than what was being described there. But it's all the same thing. And you know, you're not going to get away from it by just saying, "Well, I'm going to be neutral." You can try. I respect it, but it's not going to work because they will not tolerate your
right. I feel like we've been
more than
banned
us.
and blacklisted long enough in these industries.
He is correct. They will not tolerate your neutrality because there is no such thing as neutral on a moving train. You're either for them or you're against them.
Like where we've seen that these people, like if we just say, hey, I'm going to keep my politics out of my books, which, you know, when I first met Backstab, I was there, and I had a contract to write a actually game adaptation. It's called Star Realms, and it's an app game that's a card game sort of deal. And I wrote the adaptation of that book. And so I had a contract with mainstream publishing in that. What happened was on that fateful night in 2016, I put on a Trump hat. I took a picture on Facebook and I said we won because we won. And after that point, I started getting night letters from these people in the industry saying, we've seen your behavior, and it's not good. Publishing is a small world, and this kind of thing will not be tolerated. Including one from my editor of that book, Jennifer Brozak, who's actually up for the Hugo Award this year because she was a good person. She works with Catalyst Game Labs and the BattleTech adaptations, for those who are BattleTech. I know I've got a lot of BattleTech fans in the chat. And she is ruining she is the SJW in charge of the editorial of that and Shadowrun. So if you're wondering who that is, that's who that is. But they just come right after you. And I asked Vox right away because I didn't know what to do. I was not a political entity in the space at the time. I was just writing books and writing RPGs. And I emailed Vox. I said, what do I do? These people are canceling me. And Vox just said, name and shame. You have to go out. They're not going to stop. They want you, once they've identified you, they try to destroy you. And that is what I found. I didn't start with that. I did not listen to Vox's advice at first. Sorry, Vox. And I found out very quickly that they'll try to destroy me anyway if I just try to go back to writing books. They don't care. They already know who I am at that point and they hate you. And the left does this, and they are in control of every cultural apparatus. And so we're from a perspective where they've
not every cultural apparatus, and it's not control. They're the ones who have their hand on the lever. Having your hand on the lever at the time is not the same thing as control. They also cannot stop what they're fucking doing because it is a concept of a cycle that doesn't end, Saf. These people cannot stop what they're doing because it is a never-ending cycle of behavior that ends in a bloody war. And they are warriors in the purest sense. When we call them dogmatic church leaders and we call them social warriors, they are warriors. You have warriors, you got shamans, you got acolytes, you've got fucking disciples. They have all this kind of power and energy that goes into a religious thinking. For those that are religious, they are extreme zealots. For those that have a God-shaped hole, they fill it with whatever is closest. And the closest thing that most of them have is self-identitarian politics. And the problem is that they have their hand on the lever because nobody else was willing to take power. That's the problem. They don't have control. Nobody else wanted the job. The people who reach for power most often are the people who are most superficially incapable of creation out of control. And the problem is that because the people who didn't want the job left it open for those who are cantankerously involved with power to take grasp of the object, there is no undoing the object. They will just keep attacking and attacking and attacking and attacking until they get their hands on the object, because nothing else matters to them. It's a question of whether or not they care, not of whether or not they are involved. They don't give a shit about whether or not they have power. They'll reach for your weapon. They will try to reach for your gun. Unironically, the craziest of them, IRL, will see you. You'll see that you're open carrying if you have an open carry license and you take your gun out in public and you have it on your hip. They will reach for your gun and attempt to disarm you because they think they are the best person who should have power. They are people who are unironic gun grabbers. They do not believe in being depowered. And lots of them will hide behind talking points such as, I am a survivor, I am a person who does not let people harm me. But they are not people who are actually speaking from a position of actual survivor's guilt or survivor's constructs and weaknesses. They are evil, cantankerous people who will lie to reach for the levers of power wherever it is necessary for the purposes of antagonizing and bullying people. They can't leave people the fuck alone. They can't be left alone, and they can't not be involved in shit that doesn't involve them to begin with. They do not know how to stop. They are not programmed to. The only reason they have their hands on that lever is that they were brought in with the understanding that they would be like this. For those that do have hegemonic power and control as a leftist, from the top down or from the bottom up, then it is very clear that it is that way and has been. So, Vampire the Masquerade, gone. It's never coming back. It's been taken over by leftists. The concept of social justice, gone to the left. Can't be got back. They will never be able to let go of it. Activism in general, same thing. Big gay politics, and by that I mean LGBTQIA+, etc. Gone. Owned by them. TikTok, owned majority by the left wing. Twitch, owned majority by the left wing. You can't get these institutions back. The only way to remove them is to fire them and replace everyone. All must go. For things like YouTube, that was specific, strategic opportunities and accessible stratagems. The people who got there were the ones that were willing to lie and say, make us into priority creators, we'll tell you what's bad, so that we know how to spike against it because we know what's good. You need people who will double check. Bro, I'm all over. Suddenly got hiccups. You need people who will double check them and call them out on the spot when they do the shit that they're doing. Very few are willing to do this. And many of them are capable of hiding their power levels. Just like the crypto-fascists are. And the Nazbols. And so, because they've hidden their power levels for so long, you just think that they all have control. They don't. But the best method is to create a parallel society and remove the people who you don't trust from having access to those levers of power. Or having a system that has a checksum in question that allows you to manipulate that system in the first place. So that you can be able to say, okay, I know Carl's solid, okay, I know Bloody is solid, okay, I know Horror's solid, but this motherfucker over here, I don't trust that guy. Somebody check his credentials. That's the only way.
Blacklisted us. They've lied about us. I've actually won a libel lawsuit against them. I fought the World Science Fiction Convention for libel, and I won. They made them apologize and pay me. So I'm legally not racist. It's amazing. So don't call me that in your streams. So this is where we're at in the perspective. We know you can't.
I'm out. And don't call me racist. I'm legally not racist. I'm legally not racist, bro. Don't call me that on your stream. Come on. He just launches into his point, and Smash is like, nigga, I'm over this. I'm so done with you. I'm over this, bro. And we're only getting halfway to the 1 hour point.
You can't equivocate and just go, we don't want.
Let's hit the 2 times. We don't want to be here all night, of course.
Politics and stuff. Because your side doing that, the other side's trying to destroy you with their politics. You lose. That's just, it's a very obvious proposition. Like as a game proposition, as a game theory, if you have one side fighting with their all, like it's their religion, you have one side that says, oh, we just don't want to fight, we just want to have fun. What's going to happen with that battle?
He's proposing the state of total war, and he's saying that actually our job is to fight total war. There would be an argument where he'd be right, but the problem is that it's not total war against the religious right. It is total war of the left wing against everybody else, and the problem is that there's more of us than it is of them. And the only reason why people are not on their side currently is because they don't know what's happening, and the reason why they're not fully against them fully is because they don't want to be involved and they don't want to fight the war. And the only reason people are getting involved now is that they've pushed too far, and now people are springboarding back against them. See examples such as Nexus mods.
So when you responded to Will of the Fans, when he said, what does woke mean? And you said, it means black and gay. What did you mean by that?
I mean, this is all in the context of Kingdom Come Deliverance too, right? And so all you guys went out and said that game was not.
So
they inserted because it was not Daniel Vavra specifically. Yes, it specifically.
But just for that game, this is in context of just that game.
Well, no, Will of the Fans has a different thing. I can speak in a couple levels at the same time. Will of the Fans is a big Doctor Who fan, and Doctor Who has been, and that's how I know him, and that's how I became friends with him before he decided to go off the rails. But Doctor Who also turned the British Doctor black and gay, and Will of the Fans has his entire channel dedicated to hating the woke Doctor Who. The reason he hates it is because it turned Doctor Who from a white masculine male to a black gay male to promote that DEI agenda. So this Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
You seem to be skipping a couple of steps there, namely the example of the white twee female that they did with the 13th Doctor. Because technically, Shooty God It Was Doctor is the 15th Doctor. The Tennant redo of the 14th Doctor with the old face of the 10th Doctor is supposed to be the bridge point there. And then the bi generation, and then gay black male, trying to be all over a man in the goddamn, I don't even remember what period of the 18-10 times he was hitting on this nigga at a goddamn ball. But, you know, leave it to John Delaroz not to tell the full truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
And he has 2 data points that are exactly the same thing, and he knows exactly what I mean. And so I just stated very plainly, yes, woke is turning black and gay, and so I just said black and gay, and that's woke,
Well,
and that's
what
DEI.
woke is to you.
In that
Yes.
context, I mean,
In that context,
if
it
you're
could be
keeping it-
feminism. It is left-wing identity politics, critical race theory, feminism.
Didn't woke mean to be aware? Correct. See, what's happening in this situation, Tusky, is John Delaroz is being flippant. Because when Smash JT is asking him, woke means black and gay, what they're saying is that the delineation of calling something politically poisoned is to call it woke. And then calling it woke means to take the surface level examples of a character's been race washed, a character's been race swapped, a character's been aged up, a character's been aged down, and therefore these attenuations and these surface level things are ergo woke. If you have a character that was originally in a case example of a historic piece of data presented as white and they're presented as black, that's woke. If it's presented as a character that was male and they've been changed to female, or even a transgender or bisexual or sapphic black strong female with a domineering voice, possibly voiced by Angela Davis, that is woke. And realistically, wokeness is actually performative proselytization in the form of activism. It is pandering with the explicit purpose of getting a person who would be aligned with those delineated groups being presented as a person who would be a potential proselytizer and then a potential patron of the content. Realistically, it's taking the attenuations of all of the social performative activism that would be applicable to politics, and it is applying it to the social condition. Stand by for whether or not I landed that phrase from Short Fat Otaku in 3, 2, 1.
Or gender politics, like or sexual fetish stuff. All of that is the blanket of what woke means. Correct.
So the battle you're fighting is if it's not religious is okay, or
well, it depends on the religion.
so it depends on the religion.
Yeah, I'm not
your
saying- I'm not-
religion, your
no,
religion is okay.
Well, yeah, my religion is obviously okay.
He called them. He called him on it. Good job, Smash. Good job. Good job. You're picking it up. Their religion is bad. Our religion is good. Correct. Correct. Yes, you're getting it, Smash. Good job, Jeffrey. Good job.
Okay, and the religion of some of my Mexican ancestors is not okay. You know, I do not believe in tolerating or advocating human sacrifice, or you know, the Carthaginian religion.
Or the Muslim, female circumcisions. That's evil. So
He started to say Muslim, and he had to correct himself to say female genital mutilation.
it deforms a woman and destroys them. So
But
you're not okay with that.
but again, woke is a bullshit term. Woke was a term that was invented in order to replace social justice, because social justice was kind of giving away the story too much. And so as soon as people tend to forget that social justice warrior was originally not a term of opprobrium. It was a self-chosen term. They really believed that they were warriors for social justice. Through all the memeing and so forth, and all the rhetoric, that completely changed. And then once social justice and SJW became seen as insults and seen as contemptible, then suddenly it switched to woke. And now, of course, you're seeing that they're trying to invent the term the woke right, which is
Correct. Once again, Vox Day telling the truth, but he's telling the truth in a way to try and worm dung him into the movement. Yes, when the solidification of wokeness went from stay aware, stay awakened, to the state of social awareness, it became a term that they switched out for something else. And then they played the game of woke is when black woman, using thought-terminating cliches to completely disarm and distract from the talking point that was 100% correct, which is that they know what the fuck was happening, and they wanted to trick you anyways.
absolute nonsense, because there is no social justice right.
Right, the
Doesn't
right
exist.
opposes it. Correct.
Yeah. So, and that's why.
Well, that's not true. Political justice in the term of the right wing is Christo-Fascism, which is exactly why I called JDA and JF Trent and Melanie Mack the Christo-Fascist Squad. To be more accurate, it would be Christo-Nationalist. But the problem is, John Delaroz is the fucking black sunner. So, he's just as Nazbold as the out-and-out 1488ers. He's just doing so in a covert manner. And doing so with talking points, and with jokes, and with memes, that unless you're aware of the actual phrenology behind the words and the etymology behind the logic, you would be like, oh, that was just a talking point. That was just a verbal flourish. She was telling a joke. Haha. And you're laughing along with Nazism. Unironic. True Nazism.
That's why terms are so important, and that's why it's so important to, and Smash, I think you're correct to go ahead and call people like JDA and myself out and say, what exactly do you mean? I have no problem with being specific, and I don't think anyone should.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that either.
Yeah, no, I-
So what's happening here is Vox Day's telling him outright, yes, this is what I believe. Yes, I believe that this is good. Yes, that's exactly what I want. And we're not going further. And John Delaroz is memeing around it, while at the same time trying to gaslight JT. Shake back woke so I can sing my bone in public again. Bass Tusky.
When I had the problem, it's when you go like kind of the high school girl gossip, where you're just like, and you go on stream and then you start repeating and regurgitating
It's not
comments
gossip
that
when I go
are.
on stream.
It's gossip.
reading,
Listen,
reading,
you know better when you make
reading,
personal
it's
attacks.
reading your tweets.
Okay.
He starts attacking him. He says exactly what I've been talking about. People know what the fuck you put behind those walls, JT. You have to put it in members mode so only members can watch. If you're gonna do that, you instead put it out there for people to watch, and then you start talking about the tweets and giving your opinions unfiltered that he can't control. And now he's telling you on the spot, you better shut your fucking mouth, you little goddamn honky. Oh yes, yes, fucking around and finding out.
It's reading your tweets or explaining why you're lying about things.
What have I ever lied about? Give me
When you
an
went on
example.
Up, you called him a liar. We're getting close to the hour mark. Here we go. And now begins the taming of the Smash J Shrew.
You called me a liar and said that he said that this game is gay. He's okay with it being gay. He
You
watched
just
the
said this now.
game.
You said it's totally fine with you if people make woke games, which means it's totally fine. And you said this to John Trent too.
You
You're
said
totally fine with
you
people
said I
making
watched the
transgender
Kingdom
games.
Come. You said I watched the Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 gay scene, and then I was all for it. That was your
I have
information.
the tweet of that.
The tweet is separate from what you referenced. You said I watched. The tweet is separate from the video. The tweet is saying the game itself is not gay. It's a gay optional sex scene in it that you do not need to do. Me watching the
Optional,
video.
we're back to optional gay sex is not woke. Okay.
No, that's not.
Optional gay sex is not woke because you have to first believe that the gay sex is woke. If gay sex is politically activistic in nature, then it is woke. But if woke is a word you can use to run away from the talking point and start having vocal flourish on a stream, then it is in fact not woke. Do you know what they do in Bohemia? Bohemia! That Bohemia? Fuck you in the butt, Bohemia? Yes, you can't Bohemia? Bohemia, nigga. Are you serious? Alright. We didn't have political proselytization back in medieval days, but we're just gonna pretend, I guess.
The video that I was watching, when I was just saying this is crazy, like I don't want this in my game. This
Let's
happens
say this: is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 woke? Now that you know, you state as yes or no that it's woke.
It's not a game that I would want to be pushing forward and promoting after what I found out from Barbara.
He's not gonna take that answer. He wants you to say is it yes or no.
Well, thank you. Now, since I kind of had foresight in this and was reporting on this, and you called me Kotaku over this, do you regret doing that because I was kind of right about what I was saying about this?
No, because I feel like you jumped the gun on it without the actual information until we got it down the road.
But we
You just, it's almost like
did.
growing a garden, you ended up being right. That doesn't
I don't.
Also, if it was woke, it wouldn't be optional, by the way. If it was a message pushing moment, it would be definitively necessary to watch. It would be like the butt fuck scene with Ellie in the car. You would be forced to accept it. You'd be forced to watch it. It would become poignant and important and heartfelt. And you wouldn't be able to skip it. And you wouldn't be able to black it out. It would be necessary that everybody here feel every grunt. The touch, the taste of butt sex, KY jelly, the touch of our life. Yes, Abby. You know what I meant.
Don't
No,
break
no,
us because-
no, but
That's not an Let me and John talk, please. Go ahead, John.
That's a narrative right there, for sure. But we posted screen caps and receipts of the way Daniel Varva used to act before Embracer Group and the way he acted after Embracer Group. You can make your decision from that. We concluded very easily that he's woke, that he started attacking people, calling them Nazis, alt-right, etc., and using the terminology of the left, which he did, which we got screen caps of, which we
But there was
posted.
nothing leading up to it that led me to believe in the game it had any of that.
But he said before the game came out that he put a black person into
You
Bohemia
have the
after he has another post saying there are no black people in Bohemia, and that's why I didn't put it there.
You have the right to
He
feel that way
changed
about it. I'm not saying you can't feel that way. I'm just saying that until more information came out about it that made it official, like, okay, there we go. Now for me. So we had different lines
But
that
there's a
needed
big
to be
different
crossed
thing, right? But you called me Kotaku, meaning I made something up and totally lied about it. That's a very different thing.
Now he's getting full on. Carl, do not remind us of the last of Triumph 2. Okay, I'll remind you of Joel and One Golfing. What do you want from me? Still maintain that KCD would have started a new character if they wanted to do a gay and optional character. Since Henry didn't have that option in the first game, your actual choice would have been having two separate protagonists. Having Henry and having a new character. And just like with the choice of Assassin's Creed Shadows, you choose which one is the character that you play. And their storyline follows a different course than Henry's storyline. Now, of course, this is all in the direction of CRPGs in which you control the buttons you press. But there is an option that could have been good for all of them, but this is the nature of what happens when your company becomes owned by a conglomerate like Embracer. And unfortunately, what bleeds leads and what sells rels. And unfortunately, in the case of what is the rippling effect of having top-down control, Embracer told him something that needed to happen, and period. What was the name of the trans journalist? Anna Valens. Anavalnes.
Then like saying, okay, well, I don't agree with your conclusion. If you had said that, then we wouldn't be having this discussion. We'd probably actually just be friendly and beyond hypnotic, and there'd be no problem. But you went all in trying to call me. Yes, you would. I mean, look, there was an objection
Now here comes the aggression.
here to destroy me over that. Absolutely.
No. If there's anything I'm going to bring up that I'm very frustrated about, it's something that transpired yesterday, and it'd be remiss of me not to talk about this. And I'm sure you know I was going to bring this up. So,
Sure.
what do you have anything to say to Master of the TDS about how you approach the situation and talking about Nazis rounding up Jews, talking to a Jewish person that has been impacted by that in their lives, and how
He's not
that
been impacted by that in his life. There's
I know
literally
that.
no.
So, directly addresses him, runs the fade, and immediately the answer to a person who is a Jewish descendant. He hasn't been affected by Nazis in his life.
Nazis rounding up Jews, talking to a Jewish person that has been impacted by that in their lives, and how
He's
that
not been impacted by that in his life. There's
I know
literally
that.
no Nazis alive who have ever bothered him because
How
there are
do
no
you-
Nazis. There's no national.
How do you know he's not
Jewish
related to a Holocaust survivor?
Oh my gosh, for real. We are all survivors. We are all survivors.
So you have no empathy for him.
We're all survivors. Smash JT, we're all survivors. I'm a survivor of not receiving enough money. You're not giving me your money right now. Now, the fangs come out.
On that.
I have empathy. I'm just a survivor of my Holocaust, so you should have empathy for me.
I'm a survivor of my Holocaust, so you should have empathy for me. What is the Holocaust that you survived, John Delaroz? People not giving you their money faster?
Yeah, there haven't been.
You don't have any remorse for what you said about that?
No, because I didn't attack him. I wasn't rude to him. I just said, hey, you very clearly are choosing sides and pretending you're not choosing sides, and it's very obvious with the way that you're handling things. And I take exception to that. And I didn't call him names. So I was not rude to him. And
You
he
don't
decided to get
like
performative and quote tweet and block me. And so I knew where he stood. I just got him to come out where he stood for real. And
I got him to come out from where he stood for real. Snapshot. John Delaroz is unapologetic. He said me being Jewish and the grandson of a Holocaust survivor doesn't matter because he went through his own Holocaust and I should have empathy for him instead.
Do you have anything to say to Master of the TDS about how you approach the situation and talking about Nazis rounding up Jews, talking to a Jewish person that has been impacted by that in their lives, and how
he's not
that
been impacted by that in his life. There's literally no Nazis alive who have ever bothered him because there are no Nazis. There's no national.
How do you know he's not related to a Holocaust survivor?
Oh my gosh, for real. We are all survivors. Smash JT, we are all survivors.
So you have no empathy for him on that.
I have empathy. I'm just a survivor of my Holocaust, so you should have empathy for me.
Do you have anything to
When asked a second time, John made clear that he has no remorse for what he said to me. Doubled down and said it wasn't out of line.
Yet you're doing it to other people. Why would you do that?
You said it's kind of like keeping quiet when the Nazis are rounding up the Jews because you got a couple of German friends.
Yep, accidentally double-clicked.
Rounding up the Jews because you got a couple of German friends, yeah?
Yes.
To a Jewish person. You don't.
Yes.
There's no. You don't have any like. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. That's probably not the right thing to say to that person. You don't have any.
I would say it's harsh, but it doesn't. It's not out there. No. Yet you're doing it to other people. Why would you?
My friend, the friend that helped me get to this position to have my content, for me to grift, for me to make money, who worked with me, who helped me. Fuck that guy! You would have told him where the Jews were in the attic, wouldn't you, Master of the TDS? For context, I am saying this as though I am JDA. I do not believe this is acceptable. I would crash out for Master of the TDS. You would show the Nazis where they are in the inside the staircase, wouldn't you? Oh yes, da shooting. What a wonderful Jew you are. That's dead ass the energy he's reaching with this right now. From this point forward, it's finna get wicked.
I don't regret that at all. So was I harsh to him? Yeah, I was a little harsh. So yeah, his grandfather was a Holocaust. Right. Well, congratulations. So
Yeah, I think that people have a.
That probably is the most fucked up part. His grandfather is a Holocaust survivor. Well, congratulations. He's never been affected by it in his life, except for the fact that because his family was affected by it, he has become and was born as what he was. If his family had been hunted and found and killed, there would be no person for you to have grifted off of. Jackass. Of course, that's just up to happenstance. So let's say it like this. The man who helped you make a career for yourself where you can end up grifting off of people, you effectively tried to do away with, and now you burnt the bridge with. Because you thought you could be able to get over with him. You already had a platform. Fuck you need him for? That's the energy he's leading into this in. This is the first of many strikes against John Delaroz that you should definitely pay attention to. But we're now at the halfway point. Let's bring on home.
I think a lot of people have a tough time. In fact, I debated this in the New York Post about 10 years ago. The Holocaust is now farther away than the Boxer Rebellion was at the time of World War II. Nobody under a certain
Justifying the talking point of John Delaroz.
age cares anymore. And I understand that some people do, but most people don't. And especially as the world becomes less and less Eurocentric, expecting the Chinese to care about a couple million people being killed in Europe when they killed 50 million of their own people much more recently.
Keep in mind, the Holocaust is supposed to be somewhere around 6.5 million. Man said 2 point something while mentioning the Great Leap Forward.
It's just not a. It's not the rhetorical club that it used to be with the baby boomers. And I
when he called me an anti-Semite on his video this morning, which is hilarious, I gained followers because people are just like, oh, if he's doing this, he's a leftist. I mean, you really like are way off the mark trying to like go and you did this last time too. When I did KDC2 and I was pointing out the black person in KDC2, you went, John's a racist. You literally called me racist.
Yeah, I do believe based off of your tweets. I believe you're a racist. I believe you're an anti-Semite. I believe all these things about you based off of your own
Holy
tweets.
crap, Jeff, really?
Yes! Have some balls, smash it! Yes, Jeffrey! Yes, Mr. Tarzia! Tell the truth and it will set you free! Yes!
Come on, just stop. Stop acting like that. That's the whole problem. If you knock that kind of thing off about me, about Razorfist, it's like everybody who seems to be a right-wing creator in this content, and
You
stop
need to
the
be
video
accountable
games.
of your own actions. These are
We
your
are
own tweets.
Because I don't care.
You're not
I don't
taking
hold the value that
accountability
racism is a sacred cow that I should care about. And that's the thing. That's what the left wants. They want us all to be bowing to this racism nonsense so that they can have a little
No, it's common
whatever.
decency. It's
Common decency to your friend? Nah, you want me to bow down to racism. You want me to sit on the god and sit on his cock. I won't do it. I won't do it. I can't do it. No, no, no.
it's showing respect for another person. I'm not talking about controlling people or censoring people. I'm just saying like to
You are,
have
though.
common decency.
You want to control people and be like, John's a bad guy. You should very much not listen to him because he's an anti-Semite. That is the conclusion of your
You
video.
doubled down on your message to MasterOfTDS when I gave you the opportunity to talk about it.
My
You're
message
just
to
like,
him. My message to him is like, he hangs out with some bad people who are obviously leftists, who like to use their racist anti-Semite crap just like everybody else, and are doing the same thing to right-wing creators that Kotaku's done to right-wing creators.
Your
this
message
entire time.
Also, at the same time, while being religious, by no means is Razorfist a fucking right-wing creator. He is at best a centrist. He is at best a disaffected liberal who leans right-wing, meaning that he doesn't want things to be big government. Because words don't mean anything to John Delaroz. And he does not take kindly to people deciding to bring his fucking social public problems to the forefront to attack him as a content creator.
And what surprises me
your
is
message
you have
that-
this done to
let's
you
put the
over and over
message
by
out
Alyssa Mercante
there. Hold on, let's
and
put the
others,
message out there.
and yet you're doing it to other people. Why would you do that?
You said it's kind of like keeping quiet.
And then he tries to flip the book by saying, listen, you let Alyssa do this to other people, and now you're doing it. Why are you being a little bitch?
When the Nazis are rounding up the Jews, because you got a couple of German friends, yeah,
Yes.
to a Jewish person, you don't.
Yes.
There's no. You don't have any like. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. That's probably not the right thing to say to that person. You don't have any.
I would say it's harsh, but it doesn't. It's not out there. No. Like why should I hold that as a sacred cow and not allowed to talk about?
Notice how quiet as fuck Vox Day is during all this, by the way. Even if he agrees with it, he knows not to open his goddamn mouth and just allow this shit to happen.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Just respectful of someone, I guess.
Okay.
Like that's like saying like why should I be respectful to you? Like I'm on here.
But you're not. I mean, yes, correct. You aren't respectful to me. That's
I don't feel like you're
makes video
respectful.
after video, right?
I feel like I'm being extremely respectful. I think if anything, you're the one that's being very disrespectful to not
Call
just
me a
me,
racist
everyone.
live on air just now.
Yes,
Have I called you? Have I called you?
Smash.
Called me a name?
Smash.
Yes.
What, Smash.
Smash.
What, you don't know.
You I'm talking about your actions on
It's pretty ridiculous.
Smash. Smash. You don't know how ridiculous your rhetoric
Why
is.
is
You
why
don't even know.
I thought
Because
you
this is.
Now, Vox Day jumps in.
you didn't
Because this is my show. Because this is my show.
This is now a 2-on-1.
Smash.
Yeah,
This
my problem, just walking.
is so weird to have this guy just jumping in and talking over everyone. Like I thought this was gonna be a one-on-one with me and you talking about it.
We're just having. What was their problem? I mean, it's like the thing is like.
No, I feel like we need to talk about this, and I almost feel like I'm getting ganged up on because I'm trying to have a conversation with you. I don't know.
I don't feel like I'm getting up on it
I
all. So
don't
we have a situation where it was a deal where I didn't like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. You called me Kotaku and said I was lying. That means I'm lying. That means I'm an untrustworthy journalist because I said that game was woke. I pointed out with fact.
You are not trustworthy, and you are still being manipulative in this call, and you will continue to be manipulative in the future. Let's see how that works out for you when people start cutting you off.
I showed screenshots of Daniel Farber changing his tune to appease the woke at the time. You ignored that. You said you didn't see any evidence. It's fine if you don't believe that there's evidence. You didn't need to personally attack my journalistic integrity when I actually was
We
presenting
have
evidence.
different
and
levels of integrity, clearly.
Yeah, I verified
And I
stuff.
think
You go
that's
all razor fist all this stuff without ever doing this. Correct. We do have different standards, and you should
No,
apologize.
the things you just said to
for
Master TDS yesterday tell me all I need to know about you.
What did I say to Master of the TDS? Did I call him a name?
You were very, very unhinged, we'll just say. Let me bring up the other one, because there's another one too. Hold on a second.
Sure. Are you going to apologize to Razorfist for willingly and knowingly knowing that he did not commit some crime that you alluded to him doing? I mean, this is
I
where
said,
from
I
you.
said it looks really bad. And I
Right,
also
but you also know it's false.
I
You know,
also
you do understand that it is false, right? And it's very obviously false.
I also
right?
already said at the beginning of this that I'm sorry if he got the wrong impression of me.
No.
I'll do a video.
Do you believe that it was false, or do you believe that there's evidence that shows this?
I
This is
believe that
where
there's
you're
evidence on
getting
both sides. I believe it's a he said,
Oh
she
my
said
gosh.
situation.
Really?
I don't know who to believe with it,
This
honestly.
is the whole problem. You equivocate on all this stuff. We present evidence. You say it's not woke because it's popular.
So now,
Now, here's where drama farming gets you deeply into the shit that you're involved in, Smash. You love to do the shit that you do to Alyssa, to other people. You love to be flippant. You love to be disrespectful. You love to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Maudlin and irreverent. So, doing so flippantly, while thinking it's just blase over some content from Nito Casino, now has you in a room with a devout racist and his butt buddy who's backing him up on a 2-on-1 man play, where you have to speak against a person who is clearly more rhetorically aware than you are. You are being tricked. You are being tricked and hog-tied, and you can't defend yourself because he does not have shame for what he's doing, and he doesn't care. He's willing to do it. He's willing to say it. He's willing to do it again. No one can save you from the situation. Because anything that you should have learned, that John Delaroz was not a trustworthy person, all of us told you. But you didn't want to listen. The money was too good. Now, where's your audience to save you in this 2-on-1 conversation?
But it's popular. You say, oh, well now we
No,
know.
hold on.
You
It's
were
believe
throwing darts. It was not throwing darts. I did the research.
I'm not
and I did a lot of
throwing
work and research. Come on, man.
So his ex had evidence. He had evidence. It is a he said, she said. Just because you're friends with them doesn't make him right. That's my point. That's an actual journalist would look at it like that. You have a very biased perspective right now where you're like, oh, it's Razorfist. Look, you
Yeah,
can find
but
all this
your biased perspective is to attack Christian conservative creators. That's what
Your
you're doing
biased
constantly.
perspective is to attack Jewish people.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeffrey, so hold on.
Both of them actively laughing. Both of them laughing. He knows not who what the power is. You must incantate the words, Vox. JDA is no different than people who complain about female characters being hypersexualized just because the female characters in question have curves. Listen to me, we all know, Neo J, about the butts of consent. Apparently, according to good old Melanie Mac, the butts of consent are too crazy, but she's willing to get all the way the fuck in on Kakagaguri. She draws the line at the hot pants of consent, but she's all in on the gambler who gets autoerotic ejaculatory responses from making high-stakes betting. They're cuckoo banana over there, bro. They cuckoo bananas.
I asked this question earlier.
Because you have no idea who
hold
to
on,
work with.
Are you Jewish?
Why does it matter if I'm Jewish?
Can you answer?
Why does it matter? Can you?
Because you brought it
Because you
up.
brought it up.
I'm bringing up Master of the TDS and what you said to him.
You called me an anti-Semite in the
Yes.
video earlier today. So you are Jewish.
You said you kept quiet these days. Leading
Jeff,
up
why
to
can't
come on these
come on,
questions.
if you can't
It's
answer if
time
you're Jewish
to
or not, what is wrong? I can answer. I'm not Jewish. It's not that hard. Like, can you answer whether you're Jewish or not?
I'm not Jewish.
Okay, thank you.
He is asking whether or not he is or not Jewish because he's about to say, well, why are you getting offended on behalf of a Jewish man if you're not Jewish?
Why does it
Why did
matter
you
if I'm
do
Jewish
that?
or not? Like
I'm
that's I'm
curious.
so confused by why people keep asking me if I'm Jewish or not because I'm looking at the things you say and I'm just like
Because you're calling people anti-Semites and ranting about the Holocaust. It's just kind of weird. Like, nobody cares.
dude, you don't think saying to someone who is Jewish, keeping quiet when the Nazis rounding up the Jews because you got a couple German friends is not? You think that's
What's that
normal to say that?
Well, so yeah, I was saying that there's a lady named Gina Carano, you might remember, who said that Republicans are being treated like the Jews were in Nazi Germany, and she got fired over this. I was using that exact same tactic because I'm getting attacked. I kind of feel like a Jew in Nazi Germany. I didn't make any sort of value statement about the Jews. I said I kind of felt like one in that situation here, right? And so that's what Gina
didn't
Carano
say
said.
that
Disney
at all.
fired her over it. You literally did the same thing, and literally.
So, he then flexes and uses Gina Carano's situation to justify his outright anti-Semitism towards his ex-friend. Because listen, bro, I said I'm being persecuted like I'm a Jew. I said you would give me up like I was a Jew underneath the staircase. I didn't say that I was Jewish myself. I didn't go out of the anti-Semite way. A wink. A wink. A wink. Because he's dog whistling to his audience. And doing so in a smuggish way that if Alyssa Mercante were to listen to this and watch this back, you would say, and this is what they do. But you're not going to see her put my stream up on that fucking screen because that would mean she'd have to talk to somebody who actually knows what the fuck they're talking about. She's not going to have the conversation with Dev. What the fuck makes you think she's going to have the conversation with me? I'm not big enough for fish for her. Too dark, too spicy. The Cajun spice is too much for her.
They went and tried to cancel me and called me an anti-Semite over the exact same thing Gina Carano went with Disney, the evilest corporation ever, and you did the exact same narrative. That's what I just got.
Except that everybody went to the angle of saying that she was being anti-Semitic when she was in fact not. And Pedro Pascal was the one that led that charge that basically responded for her getting fired.
Victim mentality here. That's not what you did at all.
I didn't say I was a victim. I don't care. But it happened.
John, did you know the guy was Jewish in the first place?
You, in fact, do care.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I thought that was pertinent.
Yeah. See, the things I'm pretty transparent and honest about
So would
everything.
you have
And
said
Jeff, it's like I try to ask you something, you can't direct. Notice you're like, does inserting a black person into a game, does that make it woke? And it's like, well, it depends on the context, right? What about LGBT? And I say, yes, did that make it woke? I can answer these things right away because I don't even have to think about them because I have nothing to hide. But every time I ask you a question, it's like, well,
I have nothing to hide. I'm an honest person. You have to decide how the angle works for you. Whoa. There is a world where this talking point would work well, but the problem here is that he's just blindsiding him. So in any other situation where I could make this delineation and assertion, it's very clear that this is where he's clearly over his head. And he does not have the energy to keep up with John Delaroz. And because he's by himself and he doesn't have the ability to do it, he's just some fucking guy in his 10K media shed. He does not have the speed in which to keep up with this. For somebody who comes from the shitposting and from the shitpost sphere, who comes from the internet blood sports sphere, or has any sense of relevance on how to keep up with internet blood sports, this wouldn't work. It would just be all out about clearly just saying, bro, I don't care, but why are you trying to do this angle? What are you playing for? Like, I find it interesting that you're turning on this guy who simply brought you up and brought you to the position you are, and now you're saying, oh, see, he had friends, and he was willing to do all this other shit to me. It's like, no, I find it strange that you're backstabbing your friend. Very weird. Very strange. Why did you do that? Smash can't ask those questions because he's stuck on that. And while he's stuck on that, John Delaross is running a circle around him. So the very tactic that he said earlier where he's in a state of total war, he's currently in a state of total war against Smash JT attacking his character. Truthfully. And like the man is trying to defend himself up here and he's like at his waist with the knives.
It depends.
It's like, so Razorfist did not, I will unequivocally say, Razorfist did not commit a crime and cause any problems. It's very obvious.
You don't know that.
Yes, we do know that.
No, you're just believing what he says. You don't know for sure.
Well, I mean,
I don't know. You
we
didn't kill Jews in Nazi Germany. I mean, you might have some Jews in your basement. Like, it's possible.
Why do you
I'll
say...
make
I'm out.
a video on it. Like,
Why
and
would you
that's my
do
comment because
This is
it's
so weird.
absurd. That's what
It's
your
because
videos
it's
are.
rhetoric, and the rhetoric gets you to react, Smash. This is what
Correct.
Aristotle wrote about. This is
Do you
what
understand what rhetoric is?
I don't understand what the hell... Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
We're not going to get into it.
I know you're making
Tell me about
you
your
make
porn
videos.
bans.
You make videos.
Let me know what you want to do
videos
before.
slandering people personally.
Dude, you do the same damn thing. Don't try to... Don't do that.
You need to submit himself to the one true Carl. Listen, I'm a man, and through me, the Eldritch Tentacle attempts to get you all to understand. This is beyond the tentacle, bro. This is beyond the tentacle.
Don't do that.
I do not at all. I talk about the
John,
topic.
John,
I do not at all.
John, stop it, John.
What-
You talk
where-
about banning
where-
porn. You talk about banning porn.
Ban porn. Yes,
What
correct.
is porn?
What is porn? Porn is graphic sexual acts depicted for a titillating whatever. So,
So you disagree with Melly Mac on that?
what is Melly Mac's alleged stance on this?
You really don't know. But the whole going to get kicked off with the first descendant with the girl dancing in the bikini.
So do I think first descendant? You're asking me if I think the first descendant scene with bikini is porn? So you're asking directly? No, I don't.
Okay, so you disagree with her fundamentally on that.
I think it's tacky. It's definitely, well, we can probably agree it's tacky, right?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, that's what I said. And actually, what I tweeted was I think it's tacky. And it's not pornography, and I wouldn't ban that. No.
Okay, but you do want to ban games with porn and just porn in general. You want no porn in the world.
Correct, because it is harmful and it's actually based upon slave labor out there, which is a bunch of human trafficking involved. Which is
I mean, I could argue a lot of jobs are based on slave labor, but...
Yeah, and I think Trump will fix it. Don't worry, we're trying to work on that with tariffs. So.
So you have called random games pornography in the past, even though the rating boards exist.
I have.
I would imagine, like, because porn exists in games, so I would imagine. Maybe you haven't, but maybe there aren't any porn games that exist.
I don't play a lot of that stuff like that would go there. So I mean.
So why does it matter to you?
Why does it matter to ban porn?
Yeah.
Because pornography is destroying our culture and it's making people just into complete idiots. It actually rewires your brain scientifically and causes a lot of problems with the human race.
Setting up for talking points that you don't know how to fight against. Good job.
So it also pushes that pornography also leads to these degenerate LGBTQ lifestyles that are getting increasingly weirder and causing more problems for society. And
Not inherently, but it's the nature of them ratcheting up the course in which to be more degenerate towards you. Trooper trafficking is where you wear a swimsuit. No. What he means is that the porn industry is extremely cantankerous for those that exist inside the most popular sites. Instead of the kind where it is controlled by the content creator, they go out, they post their own content, they work with their husband or their wife, or their group of partners. They go through a cable or a ravelcade of content creators to make work with, where they make either step fantasy shit, they make wife swap fantasy shit, or they're just outright going out and doing gonzo fantasy wife swaps, or hot wife swaps, or hot wife cucking porn. He's talking about the most fucked up of the industry, basically getting people caught up on drugs, caught up on money, caught up on the lifestyle, and having them nickel and diming their way through the porn industry, trying to keep up that type of lifestyle that they become accustomed of earning on the beginning of the money that they have. Because most of the porn stars that go into the industry, they go out really huge and do a lot of the really risque and degenerate stuff first, without actually pulling it through the lifetime of their career. So, the Mia Khalifas of the world cannot compare to, say, the Vanessa Blues and the Bonnie Beaches, or Bonnie Birch, no, backwards, Brianna Beach, correct name, and the Fifi Foxes, and the Laz and Lady Fires, and the fucking, what's her name, Ava Divines, or even fucking, the most popular ones, you know, the Lexus Texas, or even older figures like, say, fucking, Korean Stefan, Superhead. That's what he says when he says human trafficking. He's talking about the porn directors that are responsible for human trafficking in the form of keeping you legally human trafficked, or the illegal kind of human trafficking, where the kind of porn that is being created and made is made and applied at places like Bangladesh, and it's coming from fetish-type content creators. Fetishes for Asian women, fetishes for Korean women, fetishes for all types of women. It is not human trafficking is when you wear a swimsuit. It's human trafficking is when you start out as a young person trying to sell yourself out as a teen who is supposed to be salaciously underage, and then you're still at the age of 30 trying to sell yourself as a teen doing step fantasy. That's more close to what he's talking about.
It all stems from porn. So I would play a lot of that stuff like that would go there. So I mean.
So why does it matter to you?
Why does it ban porn?
Yeah.
Because pornography is destroying our culture and it's making people just into complete idiots. It actually rewires your brain scientifically and causes a lot of problems with the human race. So it also pushes, pornography also leads to these degenerate LGBTQ lifestyles that are getting increasingly weirder and causing more problems for society. And it all.
Which then leads back to that point, which is what I was answering. Because you have people ratcheting the edge, the thing that they are doing for a degenerate push, some people are doing specifically as a response to the heterosexual desire. So let's say I had a lesbian, right? Let's say I had a lesbian and that I gave a compliment to a lesbian where I said, "Oh my God, look at your hair. It's so long. It's so pretty." The same response that I would get for that comment is the same response that lesbian would get for a comment that's like, yes, handlebars, more to pull with. That lesbian would reflexively take her hair, take a pair of scissors, and cut the fucking scissors cut the hair with the scissors. It's because how dare a man try to tell me what they find attractive about my body? It is a reflective reaction where instead of embracing their internal beauty, they are explicitly destroying their beauty so that they are not attractive. For some people, this is a physiological response to trauma because those people themselves have been human trafficked or sexually abused. The kind that has been done by family members or by close relatives or by family friends. And then they ratchet their actions up further and further and further. A normal lesbian that would have lived a normal gay life loving a woman starts going more debaucherous and debaucherous and debaucherous before all of a sudden they're a transgender or they are in fact a post-op AGP that doesn't actually know what it is to have emotional, healthy sexual relations with another person or passionate relations with another person. All they know is ratcheting levels of degeneracy, and there is no ratchet to turn it down to go back. They just keep getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. This nature is obvious with any kind of dogma that exists in a group that has a God-shaped hole in it. But unfortunately, despite the hole-shaped God, you have people like John Delaroz who are just very good at talking about this explicit talking point. And thus, they have the perfect answer to this. Yes, a lack of discipline. They have the perfect answer to this, where the basic answer would be, bro, just have sexual discipline. The same advice that could be given to a black male in my town or in my state or my age is the same advice you could give to men and women in general. But they don't care about the discipline. They just want to ban it flat out by fiat. And that's not acceptable.
Well, it all stems from porn. So
I would fundamentally disagree with that. I agree with the premise of that, but I don't think it stems from porn.
okay. Well, that's what I believe. So, and you can see that with the proliferation of pornography, though, there's a correlation, though, isn't there? That these things have proliferated crazier and crazier and crazier. Also,
I mean, you could say that about just because of the modern era, there's a connection to it. I have not done a science.
Well, what's the hallmark of the modern era that was proliferated? It was pornography, right?
I mean, over the.
It'd be more like pervasiveness. Pornography was not proliferated amongst the modern era. It was pervasiveness of the modern era. You do what you want in private, and I don't have to give a shit as long as I don't see it. And so, where people didn't see, they were ratcheting up further and further and further and further with degeneracy. Because what was actually creating the proliferation of the degeneracy was websites like Reddit, where you could find a fetish site in a fetish group that will specifically cater to your desires, and therefore, without people knowing what you're doing, all of a sudden you're getting confirmation bias and you're getting attention from all these people who want to see your hot black bodies. And like a star in space with hot black bodies, you start doing shit for attention. Discord was another factor as well, but I want to climb in later. Reddit was the way that paved the way for Discord, and then when Discord started going through, the Reddit Janny started getting them kittens, and all of a sudden, morale. I feel dirty.
Years, there's been whorehouses, there's been sexually promiscuous women throughout the ages.
And all of that was hidden off and it was shamed and it was not accepted by mainstream society at all.
I don't know about ancient Rome would agree with that one.
Yeah, ancient Rome was degenerate, right? So and that's why Christianity took over because it became debaucherous, became soft, and needed Constantine to save it. So, correct.
So you want to ban porn? How does that make you any different than what you're fighting against?
Because pornography is bad, and what they're advocating for is also bad. So I advocate for good. That's the difference.
But do you understand? Do you understand it's really just two sides of the same coin when you're looking to ban things?
No, that's a lie. Banning things is a tool. How it's used is the problem, right?
Banning things is a tool. How it is used is the problem. If you are banning things for my good, and you're banning things because you don't like them, they are the same thing. You are banning things. You are restricting my freedoms and taking them away, and you are placing yourself as the moral positor of my viewpoint. Period. What makes you think that he just wants it banned because of pornography addiction? Ding, 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 horror. Ding, ding, ding. I think he wants to ban it because he can't stay off the dark ride. That motherfucker went on Bulbapedia and started, they got the Flareon and the Jolteon too? Fuck, they put in a fucking order for all three of them. They can sit next to my water fire. I feel dirty! sometimes some jokes hurt me more than they hurt all of you. I fell down, and I will not get back up.
And so, would you like banning the knees on your channel is a bad thing because that was misuse of the tool. Banning, let's say, remember that guy who like went on was it Geeks and Gamers or Friday Night Tights and dropped trow and all that? Banning that kind of thing so that guy doesn't get on there is a good thing, right? Because that's disruptive and causes a problem for the show and it's disgusting, right? So that's I guess the difference right there.
I guess
right? Pretty simple.
I guess that's fair.
There's no example that you can use to justify good and bad uses because it's all about the person who's responsible for the banning. If you ban a person from a platform and from access from a platform, like that of Friday Night Tights, you are doing so for the good of the product. Not because you believe it is immoral, but because you do not want your show to be taken off the air. You are upkeeping the rules of the platform so that you can have your show. And therefore, you are choosing to take a point of adjudication where it is about keeping the show going versus having a moral standing. If you have a person who has no morals, who has no sense, they are more than happy to do anything, but they can understand that something is going to restrict their freedoms. Should somebody choose to do something like that, they're going to be able to say, no, ban that motherfucker's ass off right now. In fact, I'm going to do it right now. It's done. It's gone. They will be quickly to take that position because how cantankerous that presents towards the freedom and the civility of the people who are possessed there. Because that's the same reason I ban people the way that I ban them, and that's the same reason why horror bans them the way that they ban them. Because it's not a question of repression, it's a question of submission. You are submitting to a crippling addiction. And instead of having discipline, you say, no, get away from me entirely. And going cold chicken with somebody taking it away from you so that you can control yourself is for you to learn to have that discipline. So that you don't need somebody to ban it away from you permanently. If you need somebody to take the position to morally adjudicate that there can be no porn in society ever because you are just an addict and one touch of a titty is going to turn you into a sex fiend, that is demonstration that you don't have enough personal control over yourself to deal with it. So that you can just say, listen, just control yourself. Idle hams is the devil's plaything. But that's not good enough. It doesn't go further. It's about having a war on them. And that's why you do what the fuck you're doing. No discipline! You have no discipline! No discipline!
Because I could definitely meet you halfway and say there are certain things that have no place in society for sure.
That is already fucking up because you're giving him halfway justification. JDA shouldn't be trusted in this situation because he's clearly doing what he's doing to fuck with you and fuck with them. And because you're willing to meet him halfway, that's why you're getting fucked, bro. As far as I am on converting, my freedoms end where yours begin and vice versa. Correct. That's the correct position, Tufsky. But that's not the position that John Delaroz wants. He doesn't believe where my freedoms begin where your freedoms end. Or my freedoms end where your permissiveness begins. He believes I have the right to ban what I see as pervasive out of my society. And unfortunately, he is not capable of realizing that because he doesn't care. He's in a state of total war. When you're in a state of total war, it's about survival over good feelings or good practices. There is no bad practice, just bad targets. And that's on Squad.
I think the difference is when you start pushing the line, people start having different opinions as to what is okay and what's not. And I think right now that's where society has come to a crossroads, where it's like, what's okay, what's not. And I feel like we've gotten to a good middle ground overall. And the direction that I hear
Our culture is like the worst it's ever been. That's why your channel's big, because the culture's in such a shitty state that you talked about how bad that leftist culture was, and you blew up because of that. We're not in a middle happy state right now. It's quite the opposite. We are just hanging on by a bare thread, and that's why we're fighting the culture war. That's why Grums is doing what he's doing. That's why we all had to do this since Gamergate because society.
That's why Grum's doing what he's doing. Ergo, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Which means you and Grums are the exact same kind of cantankerous problem, and both of you need to be done away with. Thank you for telling the truth.
Okay, I'm specifically relating to porn is what I'm talking about.
Oh, specifically, but you can't separate all that. It's all connected, right?
It's all connected. So you can't even do away with just the porn. So porn's not the end. So it's a lie. What you were getting at is that the reason why some addictions happen is partly due to repression and lack of self-control. You're correct. But in order for those addicts to get solutions from staff, they need to have somebody who's willing to work with them. You have to view it like this. The problem is that it's a slippery slope. NeoJVN, this slippery slope ain't gonna happen. I'm so glad people are becoming good at single-player Carl in this chat. I'm so proud of you all. Alright, so, it's a slippery slope. Saf. You need to have a person who's willing to be the power broker, that is willing to say, no porn. You know how you get when you have porn. Let me put it in a different context. No tequila. You know how you get when you have tequila. Oh, but just one sip. No. Someone has to be the moral arbiter. Carl, am I gonna uninstall? Carl, I am gonna uninstall. Well, I can't save you. Bye, Pit! I don't know why you're telling me this. I can't stop you. It's your life, bro. You have to have a moral arbiter who is willing to tell you, this is bad for you. Stay away. In the world of John Delaroz, it is not enough to say, brother, Christ calls you to mission, and you must stop touching yourself for the good of the Lord. Because he believes as he does, it is not good enough to know that the idle hands are the devil's plaything. Therefore, if you find yourself under the temptation of lust, you must find ways to busy your hands. You are instead... Oh no! Press F. Frames start dropping randomly. You must be the person who's willing to help your friend. So, if you wanted to bring your friend to an intervention to save them from their problems, you need to be willing to say, okay, listen, I'm not going to take away all your things, I'm just going to keep you away from this. Until we trust that you have self-control. The idea being that I will give you back direct responsibility, I will take you off probation, when I can trust that you can handle things and do things under a certain level of self-discipline that requires you to take responsibility for your actions and the consequences that come from you doing this thing. JDA does not believe in that. He believes in top-down moral arbitration. Therefore, I will ban porn because it's bad for society. End of. What about when people are doing it as a choice? They're not trafficked. They're doing it because they want to make it. Because they love making porn. They love making sex. And they're not making horrible frenations of sex. It is literally the kind of sex that you would want to promote. Happy, healthy couples having sex in various positions for the purpose of procreation. And because, if you think about it in a way, it is two people stimming about how much they like each other's bodies and they are gooning together collectively as the Lord intended. He would still say, no, sex is only desirable as a tool to reproduce and nothing else. Anything that depicts the body in such a lurid and accurate fashion of pornography is by nature morally and religiously caustic and will be derisively responsible for the breakdown of the church. Therefore, for the good of all people, I will destroy this thing. He is deciding he will be the church. He is the law. It ends with him. And people like him. And that is the problem. There's no discipline and there's no trust that once you have gone this far, we will go no further. He only goes further. You give him an inch, he takes a country decathlon. And that's unacceptable. It's no different than the woke moralists of the left. They fully agree on the right, and that's why the woke right is a term. They believe in the exact same philosophy. It's just the other side of the horseshoe.
As far as
Just one thing in a vacuum doesn't really matter. It just matters what the context is for society, right? To be whether it's good or bad. It's like this. A dictatorship. Is a dictatorship inherently bad? The answer is no. A benevolent, good dictator, like my good friend Nayib Bukele in El Salvador, is a good thing.
And then he just outright says it. Listen, I'm a benevolent dictator. I'm doing it for your own good.
And he made El Salvador great again. Made it into a beautiful place. A bad dictator, who's an example of a bad dictator? Chairman, Mao, who slaughters his own people, is a bad thing. It's not dictatorship that's a bad thing. It's just the context of who it is and what's being done with that tool, right? And that's exactly.
Ergo, there's no such thing as bad dictatorship under my rule. Just give me the power.
We have here.
So you don't have an issue with like clothing on someone. It's more just the act of sex is what you call porn.
For nudity it depends because obviously there's a lot of great Renaissance art that is.
See, now nudity depends. You can't say yes or no.
Is the human form and presenting beauty
and it's not about the human form. It's about the fact that he wants to use art as a pivot because he knows that if he answers yes or no, that it's the same thing as him deciding by fiat whether or not the other thing is correct or not.
It's not meant and designed for somebody to just fact to or whatever, right? It's kind of a different thing. But that's a context thing, and
You say that, but listen. That modern fertility idol is the same thing as having a Guaido idol on my fucking desk, bro. If they want to spank it in the bank and put it in the jar, we can't stop them. And we all know that.
Like I said, we can disagree on the context of whatever that is, whether it's this much or this much. That shouldn't lead to personal insults and calling somebody racist and anti-Semite and stuff like that to try to target and go after them, right? Or say things about make up the bullshit you guys are spreading. You suck gay furry because I called somebody a gay furry, and you know that's the case, but you let your chat proliferate it and you don't correct them, right?
We're not the ones that took the picture and proliferated their content about the Pokemon, bro. Bro, it is not us that's doing that. It was you. It was your content. It was your chat. It was your stream. It was your VOD. It was your art. That is not on us. That is on you. We ain't the lovers of Darkrai butt, alright? We ain't the lovers of the anime butt of the Pokemans. It's crazy. Have I noticed the anti-jack-off brigades target men more than women? It's because men are an easier target to convert over. It's easier to get the men in than the women because the women are capable of self-policing by a state nature because most of them are consuming content in the form of material from book talk. They are doing fantasy. Whereas the men are consuming the content that is being produced by women who are debaucherous and have no morals themselves to monetize the men because they see it as their way of getting back justice on behalf of womankind.
And you're careful about not saying it yourself now. I mean, the way that you phrase things is very careful these days. But you do like to propagate them the same way. And that's been my exception. That's where it's like, okay, this is personal and it's ugly. And why? Because like I said, KDC2 was woke and it is woke. What's the problem here, right? So there shouldn't be a problem. And that's been my whole assertion the entire time. There really shouldn't have been a problem. And I don't understand. I still don't understand why you got one. So if you just knock it off, I'm totally cool. I want to help you fight Kotaku. I want to help you fight.
Yeah, if you stop saying stupid shit online, I'll knock it off too. But I can't get behind you if I see writing stuff that's just I don't agree with. I'm gonna call it out too. And
so
I feel like
you're gonna stalk me so you can just wait for to take me out of context on something so you can label me.
How is it out of context, bro? Like you need to be aware.
You called me an anti-Semite this morning.
Did you not?
Because I said I feel like a Jewish person in Nazi Germany, and then the person
Dude, the
saying
things you said to MasterOfTDS were abhorrent, and you're trying to laugh
How's
off
that
it. It's not a
abhorrent?
big deal.
How is that? I still don't understand how that's abhorrent whatsoever. Like I said, what Gina Carano said. So you believe because Gina Carano said this, you believe she should be fired for Disney because of that post she made, which is exactly the same thing I said.
What about ism?
But I said in a personal context, she said about Republicans. Was Gina Carano abhorrent by making that comparison?
I am not familiar with that situation.
You want me to bring it up?
False dichotomy. False comparison. Martin Bailey.
I will bring up her post. I've got it right here. Okay, I got it.
I don't understand.
Is this abhorrent? Because this is exactly the same thing I said. And I said this intentionally because I was actually looking at the Gina Carano thing. She says Jews were beaten in the streets not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even children. Because history is edited. Most people today don't realize you get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews. The government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different than hating someone for their political views? And her context of this was because this is how people treat Republicans. So she got fired from Disney for this, and they said it was abhorrent. That was the whole deal. All of her co-stars disavowed her. They said exactly the same things you said because I said something very, very similar to this, right? So this is exactly what I'm saying. I feel like I'm targeted like this. She said she feels like she's targeted like this, and you're saying we're abhorrent for saying that, and you called me an anti-Semite. You called me an anti-Semite.
I'm still
a video this morning.
There's
Why
literally
is it important to me?
apologize and understand what you did wrong. I'm going to leave this conversation thinking that you're anti-Semite.
Really?
Yes.
Is Gina Carano an anti-Semite then?
I don't give a shit about her right now because I don't work in that world. I don't know
Holy
anything
shit,
about
Smash,
that. What you said to my friend was very anti.
Shut up motion. Oh my god. Smash. Look at you. You're wilding out. You're crazy. Bro, you're wilding. Why are you so mad? Why are you so mad?
No, this is my whole problem. You don't have any standards, man.
How is making a metaphor anti-Semitic?
It's not. That's what's ridiculous.
Right, that's why I'm asking how. I'm asking him how is that? It's just a metaphor. So how would that possibly be anti-Semitic?
What an awful approach.
Now, the correct response, Smash, would have been, you're not Gina Carano. You're John Delaraz, and your personal friend who is Jewish, who is of Jewish descent. He is ethno-religious. You chose to smock him about his religion flippantly. And when I ask you about that, you then become smug about it, and you have no repentance for your friend that you decided was not important to you and that you no longer needed. I find that very strange. He did not say it calmly, he did not say it with a good voice, and he was being fucked with constantly. Unfortunately, he does not have the ability to say his microphone was being covered. But you were bamboozled, my guy. You were bamboozled. You were fucked.
It's just a metaphor, bro.
It is.
It is
You know,
literally just a
you know what,
metaphor.
Smash?
Yes.
I don't give a damn about all the anti-Semite bullshit and all the crying about it. I'm an American Indian. We suffered way worse than anybody did in World War II. But I'm not.
I am a... Who cares what happened to the Hana Nagilovna? I apologize for the jokes that I left my body. I am just a comedian. I am just a funny man. I am just a black man telling jokes in front of an audience. But honestly, he is now jumping in such a way where it is very clear that neither of them give a fuck. So, you are now watching the anti-Semites at work.
I'm not crying about it. I'm not, getting my panties in a twist every time somebody refers to a massacre. It's a metaphor.
There are
There's
plenty of people that
You
are
scalped his
Indian
argument,
that
Bucks.
do get that, and do you at least be respectful of them if they do, or do you not give a shit about them?
Did you notice I just made a joke and I said he scalped your argument, which is a very derogatory statement to Native Americans right there? And do you notice he didn't give a shit? Because this is stupid. This is what leftists get mad about, and that's my point.
It's just meaningless rhetoric that emotionally manipulates people. That's all it is.
Correct.
All right. Do we have anything else to talk about?
I don't know. I mean, are you did we come to an understanding? I mean, are you going to knock off just going with personal slander for gossip stuff or race?
Or are you going to bend the knee and suck my cock, or are you going to continue to act out and fight against me?
Your fist and myself and doing that kind of thing? Like,
I'm going to keep calling it out. This is not changing anything. I think what this was supposed to do was to be like come to an understanding of, okay, I'm going to try to be better. I'm going to try to work towards a common goal. It almost sounds like you're more like
you need to come here to apologize to me for trying to cancel me for doing this.
because if you don't, then we're just going to keep being.
I didn't ask you to agree with me. You keep demanding I agree with you. You're like, well, is this porn? Is this bad? Is this bad? And I'm like, not really.
I didn't ask you to agree with me, despite saying, did we come to an understanding where you need to understand that I am the God and you cannot protest against me? Listen, my Native American Indian in the pocket said that it's okay. Awawabubui, ababubui.
Really, and in fact, I actually agree with you on all this stuff, and then you have an argument. You're like, oh my gosh, all the stuff I said about him was false. Like, that's what you're actually thinking, and that's why you're so slow to respond to some of this stuff. And it's like, just stop. Like, why are you doing this? Like, what is this about? What is your objective? Because my objective
is to get this shit out of gaming. All this shit, including
shit out of
you guys are trying to inject.
I don't even make video games. What am I putting into gaming?
What am I putting into gaming? I just cover video game topics. I just get involved with the sphere of influence. I just get involved in this stuff. I'm not doing anything wrong. Why are you coming after me, bro? Bro, what did I put into the gaming? Bro, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's the problem? No accountability. No accountability. Zero. Zero accountability.
Ideology.
But I don't make video games, so I'm not putting ideology.
But I don't make video games, but you do talk about them, and you are spreading it through the content that is being made in your site. And if this is the content that is going on your site, it is also the content that is going to be a part of the rhetoric that you tell about content. And no matter who says it, you will keep saying whatever you need to be able to get it to go across the sphere, because it's not about what's true, it's about what you can get away with saying. Which, in and of itself, is half the goddamn problem. Because that's the exact same issue we have with the leftists. The leftists are willing to lie and say whatever works as an effective rhetoric, like as an effective rhetorical tactic, and you're saying, listen, it's not rhetoric, it doesn't matter, it doesn't mean anything. But what Smash JT wants to know is, why are you so free with slandering your friend like this? And why are you so free with being so flippant about it? Basic decency and standards have gone out the window. It's not about decency and standards. It's about you tricking people. It's about showing, look, he's poison, guys. This man, he's corrupted. He doesn't know. He doesn't believe as I believe. He doesn't believe as we believe. That's why you need me to be the leader, because if you put me here, we can be able to run all this shit out. And we can be able to take over and put our stuff in place, because Smash is not equipped to handle this kind of problem. He shouldn't have to be. But he's not equipped to handle this problem. And that's why he's floundering in this moment, unfortunately. Do you know who else says that a dictator? I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about JDA. Bosch. That's the first one. Fucking Coconut Island, Suck My Dick Atarian is definitely the first one on the top of my list of that, NeoJ.
Video games? Yes, so I'm not allowed to play Mario Kart and be a Christian? I'm very confused.
You are not allowed to put your politics into your content on your website and then act as though you are not a part of the industry engine. You want to be a journalist that talks about pop culture and content, and you do so from a religious perspective, which means your viewpoint is going to inform the media that you're talking about. If I were to give you the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and I was to tell you to write about the work that you read and watched and consumed from all 3 seasons of that show, your religious views are going to become involved in the work that you are criticizing. You will not be able to unlink them, because it is who you are. You are not capable of suspending your disbelief and suspending your personhood as a part of the work. You instead will use it as part of that nature. And that is where it all starts from. Once you have that going, you're just the exact same as listener content. You're just attacking from the other angle, from another direction, from another circle. I'm so tired that I can't leave the goddamn circles! Every time we come back here! I'm framing them now. I can't leave the goddamn circles. Every fucking time. My ass perpetually beaten by the fucking circles. I can't get away from the circles! We're stuck in basic philosophy of concepts of socialization! Technically, if you want to be accurate, it's this plus the impression line. People have seen too much of John Delaroz and they've seen too much of Smash JT that they don't know where on this line they're supposed to come down on the side of. They don't know if they're supposed to come down on Smash's side or if they're supposed to come down on John Delaroz's side. And unfortunately, the answer is you come down on neither of their sides. You just take stock of what's currently happening here. If there are people who are smart enough to know what's going on, they will see this for what it is. The ones that are too stupid to see what's going on, or they don't care, they're going to be like, Smash guy's shit pushed in, he tried to debate John Delaroz, it was cringe. Unlike the debate that was had between Ethan Klein and Hassan Piker. They will only care if they are directly involved. So, in this case, I feel bad for him, but you know. Same as it ever was. We're getting to the point where Smash leaves the call. I don't know if it's any more valuable past that point, but we'll attempt to look at it, because we're coming up on midnight, but there's still more behind back of this. Yes, there was a content deputy. They basically announced that they are leaving Creator Clash 3 amidst all the problems, and that they are putting it over to the hands of another content creator. who's going to be managing Creator Clash 3. So basically, they tried to attack Ethan Klein. They put their favor behind the wrong guy. They're completely felted, ass blasted, fucked off, and they're basically trying to double down like, listen guys, wasn't that a fucked up debate? Look at how fucking stupid he looks. While still not promoting their event, still not looking after their fighters, and still being fucking irrelevant.
Like, no, Mario Kart is not what we're talking about. Though. You play video games that you're talking about on a daily basis.
Do I play Stellar Blade? I played Space Marine 2. Yeah, I don't play KDC 2 because it's woke. I don't buy woke things. Right. I didn't play Assassin's Creed Shadows because it's woke. I'm not giving Ubisoft my money. Correct. Like, yes, I play the games I like, and then I talk about the games I don't like and why. I should be able to do that without somebody, I guess, trying to personally go at me and call me an anti-Semite because I don't like a video game. I mean,
it is possible for him to do that, but the problem is that you are very clearly a proliferator of drama, and you are clearly using fast-talking Mott and Baileys to be able to defend your position when you're just clearly an anti-Semite. You're clearly an anti-Semite who wants to go all in on your friends because you perceive that now is the time for you to grasp for power, and we're hoping that it does not work out for you, because it shouldn't.
I don't understand where this comes
video
from.
game. To be clear, it's because of what you said to Master TDS.
Right. So
Doesn't Stellar Blade have revealing outfits? Yes, it does. Don't you never mind the double think. Just notice that he thought about it, DOJ. That's what we're supposed to do for John Del Raz. We're supposed to let him get away with this shit.
You have an ideology in video games. Guess what? That doesn't exist because every human has an ideology, and every story, if there's a story to a video game, will have an ideology to it. So that's never going to be a possibility. That's absurd to say that, right? It's like I don't even know why you go that. I'm not making video games though, so I'm not inserting ideology into any video games. I'm not a video game creator, so you shouldn't have a problem with me on that level because I didn't do anything.
I feel like you don't really care about the game future. You just want to make
Oh
sure.
yes, I do. I don't want woke in the game future, and I don't want woke, especially for my kids' games. That's the, I have. Do you have kids?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want all this like weird.
Oh, that's the same thing I'm
around my
fighting for.
boys.
I think the difference is
Okay, cool.
our definition of woke is a little bit different. I think that's maybe where it comes down to. Where I'm a little bit more flexible with it and you're a lot more hardline with it.
Well, I want to secure a future for gaming and for my white children. Is that okay?
And he hits him with the LARP. And I hope that Smash JT is smart enough to not fall for it. But I do believe he falls for it here.
Okay with you?
Why did you say the word white?
Just a triggery.
No, I mean,
Is it okay? Is it okay? Is it okay that my children are white, or is that not okay?
It's totally fine, but I almost feel like the more I've seen from you, the more it almost strikes me as you're like a white supremacist. Would that be accurate?
I'm
He's
Hispanic.
Mexican.
I'm my wife's El Salvadorian, so that's ridiculous. So
Okay.
yeah.
My wife's El Salvadorian. That's ridiculous. I don't believe in those things, even though I just said the 1488 line.
No, I'm not white.
But you just don't like black people?
No, I love black people, especially Kanye West. Except for the weird gay stuff he did with his cousin. That was weird.
Anything else?
I guess I just don't understand what your point is. Like you're like I'm gonna every time you have a tweet I don't like, I'm gonna go fancifully off the rails against you, and just like I did with Razor Fist. I mean, is that the conclusion here? Because my objective with this was, hey,
You're saying that I'm the one going off the rails after what you wrote to Master TDS?
yeah, you made a video saying JDA is an anti-Semite.
Yes,
I mean, yeah, that's off
in
the
my
rails.
opinion, you are an anti-Semite, correct? And you keep laughing about it every time. Like, bro,
Because
I don't know
it's
what to tell you. No, it's not absurd. You're
Because
not,
only
you're
left-wing
absolutely
people
right.
talk like this.
What's
Only
that?
left-wing people talk like this. Listen. Ever since
But situations like these are starting to realize people like us are the only ones who can see the red flags from a mile away, is what I meant to say with. The problem is that we can see the problem because some of us are just wise to the tricks. The same way that we wouldn't fall for a right-wing figure doing this, most of us wouldn't fall for a left-wing figure doing this. He's doing vocal flourish, Alex. He's saying whatever he thinks is going to piss Smash JT off. That's why he said 1488 line about, I'm trying to secure a future for my white children. And when Smash noticed, why did you say white? He's like, what? Is there a problem with my kids being white? Because he didn't pick up that that was a specific dog whistle. He's been dog whistling the entire time. There's other things he's dog whistling about, which is him saying, I like Kanye, but I don't like the gay fish stuff. Because remember, Kanye went on the gay flip back with the 2024 shit, where he started saying a bunch of the shit about the Jews, in reference to Adidas, that he has walked back to be able to get back his sponsorship deals. And I think Kanye has also come out as gay, too, but that's entirely impartial to everything else. He brought up Kanye to signal, to dog whistle and signal about him having the political beliefs and the particular white supremacist adjacent beliefs and explicit white supremacist beliefs that belong to the Nazbols that Smash JT doesn't understand are happening, even though he can sense that it's being said and he can notice it's being said. He doesn't have enough of the knowledge to not fall for the feints and just blatantly say, no, but this specifically here, yes. Because, Smash JT is not exactly the kind of person that a single-player Carl is. He would be very bad at single-player Carl. He'd be even shitter at Jay Longbone.
I got on voice chat in Halo back in the day. I said the N-word. Did you say the N-word ever in a voice chat?
No, I never have.
No. Okay. Well,
Never.
All right. Well, I did. So, and you know what? I'm not apologetic for it either. So
That's fair. That's
because
fair.
like why? And PewDiePie said it too, and it was totally fine when PewDiePie said it too. So here's the, and this is the deal. This is what gaming's always been. And getting offended like a little bitch about every little stupid thing and trying to ramp the offense and go racist, sexist. That has no place in gaming. That's what I want out of gaming. That's why I'm fighting. That's why I've always been fighting. And that's honestly, I think why you're a little nervous about this because I think you understand that
No,
size
not at all.
of trying to control people
Not
with
at all.
words like anti-Semite and all that, it doesn't work anymore. And it kind of makes you look like a leftist. It really does. And so I would love for you to stop doing that. And if I have a game that I call it woke, you're welcome to say it's not woke, and we're welcome to have a debate about that. But if I start talking about my wife and stuff like that because I'm talking about a game calling it woke, which you did in your first stream, by the way.
I talked about your wife?
To your credit, you haven't since then.
When
But
did I talk about your wife?
in the first stream, I clipped it, buddy, because it was libelous. Okay, so
Your
that was why I took exception. That's why I got really angry on this level. Yes,
I do not. If that's the case, I apologize. I do not recall ever doing that. That
okay.
doesn't.
that is why I was like, whoa, this is a next level thing. And that's where I was.
I would like to see the context if you don't mind
No.
sending me that afterwards because I.
Sure, I will.
Thanks.
But that was that's why.
Why don't you just bring up the context right now since it was personal enough for you to have clipped it? For you to bring it up. Why don't you play it live in front of him so he can see it? Very interesting.
The first time about all this as well. But yes, okay. But you apologize. I'm good with it. So if that's the case, I think the personal attacks are just gross and silly and need to stop because we all need to be working together against these evil mega corporations, and that's what's important. And that's what I've been trying to push the entire.
And now we're on to the Grum's angle of we can't split the narrative. We can't split the narrative. Don't split the pack. Don't split the pack.
Time. KDC2 is run by and owned by an evil mega corporation called the Embracer Group. They're one of the worst out there. They've always been one of the worst out there, and they corrupted the guy. I was right about that. I wasn't throwing blind darts. I've recognized the patterns of this stuff, and I reported on it. And that was it. You didn't like my patterns I saw on it, which is fine. But like, you didn't need to go out there and tell everybody we're Kotaku and fake news and rile up your whole audience about that when that is not what we did. We
Well,
were
I feel
not
like you were
doing
pushing
that.
a narrative because you guys found something about an underage kid, and it's like, well, not really, but kind of. I'm like, bro, like.
Well,
I
it
feel
was
like-
beyond. No, it was not really. They literally listed him as 15, and then Daniel Favreau, his response was not, he's not underage. He did that 2 days later.
He
His
said there are no
response
kids
was, it was normal then to like have 14 and 12-year-olds have sex and have witnesses for it. So his implication with that, again, if you can read, like, is that it's
So if
normal
that's
for
the
kids that
case,
age to do, and that's why he showed it because it was historically accurate. So he
If
was
that's,
showing that.
if that's the case, what's the issue? Do you have an issue because you don't want it to be historically accurate, or do you have an issue because it's pedophilia? It should not be in a game no matter what,
I think pedophilia should not be in a game no matter what.
even if it's historically accurate.
Absolutely. Why do you need to put that graphically in there? Now you can listen. If there's this is context.
Well, 'cause
we're
it's-
talking about a pedophilia thing, and we're going to go shoot a pedophile or whatever. That's talking about it, showing it.
Then he does the bit with the dad.
And this was not that. This was the two lead characters doing it as a way to promote homosexual porn. That's what it was. They wanted to promote the DEI agenda through pushing a homosexual relationship. That is like something that has no place in the game. 100%. Like why? Why do you need that?
Homosexuality has no place in gaming. Writ small, it has no place in gaming to push a political proselytized movement. Writ large, it has no place in gaming, period. I'm going to go ahead and say that if a character or if an artist wants to put homosexuality in their video game to the point of having physical sex on screen, it has to be censored, and if they're doing so for the narrative point of talking about a character's journey and experience, the same way that you can choose to have those avant-garde films that have the same shit in it, you can be able to do the exact same thing with gaming, but you have to be willing to tell people that's what it is on the surface. You cannot pull a Neil Druckmann and put butt pounding in a game from the angle of a character that does not look like a female. That is not female presenting. Unless, of course, that's the angle that you're going for, which happens to be what Neil Druckmann's doing. So, there's that. That's at least my stance.
It's sick.
If they paid for it and they want that and that's what they asked for, give them Dream Daddy. Give them Honey Pop. Give them whatever the sapphic version of Honey Pop and Dream Daddy would be. But if they did not pay for that and you tricked them into buying it, like that of The Last of Us 1 into The Last of Us 2, once he gutted Amy Hennig from Naughty Dog, that is obviously what we do not want. Because when you have to restrict people's content and use a shell corporation to strike people's content down so they don't ruin your perfect opening of your game, even against somebody who is a devoured, dyed-in-the-wool leftist like just some guy, JSG, you definitely have gone too fucking far and have to be depowered because you should not be capable of doing that. And that is against the gaming press. Especially when the entire news story is your takedown of the company. A bunch of other people going in on a bunch of other shit, like he wants to desperately fuck Lauren, of all people, but that's completely non sequitur. That's just funny to make fun of him because we all know that he desperately wants to be Amy Hennig, and Neil Druckmann is nowhere near it. But, you know, that's unlogic.
I mean,
Right.
the problem is, and I would typically agree with that. The problem is, I feel like the plot's been lost with gaming, where you don't know who to trust anymore. You don't know if it's going
Trust
to
Fandom Pulse because
you don't know
always
what's going to be for.
Correct. Nobody knows who to trust anymore because you're doing dumb shit, Fandom Pulse is doing dumb shit, John De La Raz and Vox Day are doing dumb shit, Melody Max doing dumb shit. There are a bunch of people who are doing dumb shit, and the people who are being consistent, at least within their sphere of dumb shit, there's time where they're doing flourishes of jokes like I've done, but very clearly they don't believe those things. Whereas the people like John De La Raz and Kern do believe the shit. Now, I don't think that John De La Raz is gonna get that shit past Grums unless Grums is fully fucking cucked, at which point I guess throw all of them the fuck away like we already were planning to, but with even more extreme prejudice. But at the very minimum, yes, you're right, Smash. And why do you think we don't trust people? Because they decided to go all in on something for drama? What have you been doing? How have you not noticed this shit to know not to walk in this call?
Artistic purposes or why they're injecting it into the game, and that is a devastating trust issue the gamers have.
So if it was a 15-year-old boys having sex for artistic purpose, there's no artistic purpose for that. What are you talking about? Like this is a cut and dry thing.
But it's one of those things. It's like it's in a video game that it's not real. Like sure, it's loosely based on a historical figure, but they even said in it that they've taken artistic liberties with the age and stuff to make it so it's not that. But you guys are going over and above, being like, well, no, they can't do that because this is his actual age at that time. I'm just like, I feel like it was like really trying to get a gotcha on them when I don't think that was the intent of the developer in the first place. I think it might have been like almost like an accident, not to excuse them, but I couldn't imagine.
So you're giving Daniel Favre the benefit of the doubt, which at the time we looked at Daniel Favre and what he was doing with everything, and we said we don't give him the benefit of the doubt. You want to give him the benefit of the doubt, which is totally a reasonable thing. At that point, giving him the benefit of the doubt. I saw enough where I said, okay, I've seen enough woke activism. This is embrace your group. I'm not giving him the benefit of the doubt.
That's fair.
So I looked at it uncharitably. You looked at it charitably, and that's the difference. And that is fair. Now, if you said that, you made a video saying I don't.
Hi, Weezy. Dragon T, a Dragon Surgery T seems to be only interested in the space that you've seen recently. I mean, I've seen more than enough of Dragon T's takes to know that I want to have a conversation with him. Perhaps this time, somebody will actually go uncalled and talk about shit directly. Some of the last ones didn't go through very well. Perhaps this one will have a conversation live on air that will go off without a majority of a hitch. Preferably.
Don't agree with John on this was the deal, but he's got good points, and here's why he says this, and actually presented it like that, this wouldn't be happening. You went out there and said, these guys are Kotaku, they're fake news, they're awful, they're just as bad as them. You made video after video and stream after stream doing that. You see that's the big difference between what we're having this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's the context because I was covering the
See, the reason why Smash said he was foolish to get in this call was because he was trying to give the benefit of the doubt to the content creator that is here and hoping to get him to see reason. And unfortunately, Smash cannot get JDA to see reason because he doesn't want to. He does not care. As for the people who asked who Dragon's T is this Neo J. Click the link, read his threads.
information where I felt that way about it.
So yeah, you felt right. So here's the deal. Now that you know that we don't act like that, are you going to not do that kind of thing to us anymore to try to tear our deal down? Because it's insane. Like it needs, like that's the thing that's hurting all of our side is that kind of behavior, going off the rails emotionally, where there's not.
You're hurting our side by calling me out. How dare you call me out? Are you going to stop calling me out, you little fucker?
Evidence there that there's any kind of problems and spreading things like gossip. That needs to stop because gossip is bad, right?
I think it's not. You keep saying the word gossip. I think it's conversation.
I think it's conversation. This is a conversation. I like what you're saying here. You were charitable to him. I understood that. I didn't have to call you names or say you're a pedophile. If I could, if I wanted to go that route, I could have just, escalated that and said, oh, he's defending pedophilia, right? I mean, that's the other way of doing this, right? And I don't do. You notice I don't do that. And so this is again, when have I done that? Chat smash. Come on. I never go anywhere like that. I never do that. I never go anywhere personal into this stuff at all. And so this is a spot where we have a very intelligent audience here who's very well read, and we understand this from a historical, cultural perspective. I get that you just want to have your fun and gaming stuff like that. That's great. And if you notice, I've never gone out there and told you to like or play a video game or not like or not play a video game, nor have I done that to anybody else on X or anywhere, right? But I've had that done to me. I was demanded to like KDC too. I'd better say it's not woke. I'd better agree with it or else, right? And that's where all this came from. So why do you guys want to police what people like and don't like?
Not the rest, but I do need to start winding it down because I need to make it for my kids.
Oh, that's fair. So are we kind of like an understanding like where I took exception and like where I'd like to see the future go? Because we can make this movement way better.
Are you gonna suck my cock, or am I gonna have to spank your ass some more? It's so weird when he can't just come out and say it, since he's been doing it the entire time.
And if we focus on the important stuff and don't go off the rails with this stuff anymore, like and don't try to police what people like and don't like, censorship as you guys like to say, then that should be fine, right? I mean, there should be no reason for that. And in fact, if you notice a lot of your preconceptions, you're like, what about First Descent and all that? I said, well, I never said that. You're like, oh, you actually thought I said that because people kept repeating it.
Why would we follow Melanie Mack on that too? Then?
Because I don't care what she thinks. I'm fine with her thinking that. I'm fine. If she believes that's boring gross, if she believes that's boring gross, that's fine. I'm okay with her believing that.
See, I'm not. I think that's the problem. Is like,
why?
Because that's a problem. Because then you start going down a slippery slope.
So the tactic that Smash is trying to get here is, why would you want Melanie Mack to say something that you believe is not the case and you pal around with her? It seems like you're co-signing her narrative. The answer that JDA is going to give him if he presses him on it is because I'm not Melanie Mack, I'm JDA. And where this would be normal for somebody like myself to say, single player Carl, why aren't you going out and telling people to believe how you believe? Because I'm Carl. Fuck. What am I supposed to get them to believe for? If they believe that, that's their opinion. Or, more accurately, earlier when somebody asked me in horror a question about, but what if people try to say that horse is bad because mascot horror is somehow a devaluing of the entire genre as a whole? Those people's opinions are stupid and dumb, and we don't have to follow them. And this is the angle that they're playing from. That is the angle that then leads into him saying, why do you keep trying to get me to understand her? Why do you get me to check her? But he constantly spends his time trying to check Smash upon stuff that he knows he's bad for, but he doesn't care. Because up yours, woke moralists. True audience capturing time. it's an unfortunate game of Mott and Bailey that he still hasn't figured out yet. So that's kind of on him for being involved in what he's doing. It's like, you didn't call him a pedophile, but you did call him stupid, you did harass him, you did antagonize him, you did try to embarrass him in front of a live studio audience. I don't do these things, but these things I do.
Well, it's better than the slippery slope to underage gay sex and KDC too, my friend. I mean, like, I'd rather have the opposite. And we do need.
I'd rather keep a balance between the two. I think that's
the balance. The balance doesn't exist. Now the thing is, you do got to move. You got to push the edge a little bit for the Overton window to move, right? And that's the deal. And if you look at what Melanie Mac's doing, she consciously understands that she's trying to push the edgy to the right because the Overton window is so far left right now. It needs to be done. And when you do that, this is called pacing and leading. Scott Adams.
I gotta start winding this down though. I keep talking. I'm sorry. I gotta start winding
it's okay. Well, pacing and leading is about you say here because your objective's here, right? And that's
Trump's
negotiating style. And that's what Melanie Mac's doing. And I recognize that because I'm well read enough to recognize that. And maybe if you have a question on people's motivations and where they're at on this, what I'd love to see is a DM, call me or whatever. I'll give my phone number. Be like, hey, what do you mean by this? And what does this person mean by this? And look at us and what we're saying in the light charitably that you gave Daniel Vavra, the Jewish gay guy who was putting gay stuff into an embracer group. Look at us as charitably as you would look at him. Is that fair enough? Like, why wouldn't you give us the same benefit of the doubt you give Daniel Vavra?
And all I'd ask is the same from you too.
Yeah, but I do. I don't say a word about you. I give you calling me.
You're forgetting the videos where you called me some pretty awful things in your videos. So,
what did
but I don't know.
If you don't say aloud what he's called you, then he doesn't have to address it. You need to have balls. You're bitching out of the call at this point because you know that you're getting fucking lambasted by the two of them, and you don't have the rhetorical skills to be able to defend yourself from them, bro. All this drama was straight up unnecessary. All this started because someone made a tweet who chose to dress up the character from First Descendant. Well, you see, you could blame it on Paul Tassi, you could blame it on Melanie Mac attacking the game. It doesn't matter where the drama started from, it's where it went to that matters. JDA clearly believes in a practice of, you take it there, I'm taking it further. And until you have somebody who's willing to outpace him about his behavior, you're not going to get him to stop this, because you have to talk him you have to talk him around the room. You have to do to him what he's currently doing to Smash. That's not going to happen because they control the horizontal and the vertical. You start embarrassing him on his show, they ban you. That's how it works. The lefts do the exact same thing. If you want to see what that looks like, look no further than a very old stream where I exposed, where I exposed Jake, actual bird Jake, of the now Hugo, formerly Hugo, now Hannah and Jake dual cast team, for doing this in Papa Berg and the Fam. Where I was effectively sent in as a lion by an ex-friend of mine to address her problems because she was hiding behind my purse skirts instead of addressing the problem directly. But I ended up using it as a way to demonstrate the kind of behavior that happens inside of a left-leaning dirtbag left Discord and how they act in that Discord. They're very, very much hugboxy and disrespectful, constantly cutting microphones, gish galloping tactics, all the things that would have been used in the debate against Hassan Piker if he was able to get away with it, but he was not allowed to get away with it. Stuff that is truly debate pro tactics.
I don't know what it was, but I will do this right now. I apologize for saying any awful things about you on that, and I will try to keep any kind of like personal attack rhetoric to a minimum because I don't want to do that to you. I want to practice what I preach, and I don't want to do that to you. I do think overall you're on the right track. I'd like to see a little push in the future to where we can kind of work together and be friendly. And I'm cool with that, but knock off calling people racist and anti-Semite and stuff. It's just
Don't be racist and anti-Semite. I definitely won't. Don't worry about that.
Okay. All right. Have a good night, brother. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Yeah. Cool.
I was kind of amused by the people who were like, why is Vox here? I'm like, why is Vox on Arcade of Nights on Thursday?
It's fine. We have a ton of super chats though. The chat loved it. So here we are. Hi, Smash. Any new lawsuits on the horizon? Well, Razorfist clarified that he's not going to sue him.
Multiple people just calling in multiple times and antagonizing people with super chats at this point now.
Max said, the point of my question is you slandered ADA as not Christian because he had consistent ideas about those that dissent from those that called for the crucifixion of God. He means the Yamahas, of course. I appreciate it, Max. Thanks for being here. Interesting stuff. I mean, the hang up on the anti-Semite thing's like, whoa. Reminds me when John piled on Ed Piskor before suicide. And Ed Piskor, I have evidence showing that he was grooming underage women, and I didn't want him to suicide or anything like that, but he knew he couldn't come back in the comic book industry because he didn't care what I thought. He hated me. So if the topic allows, what are Vox's criticism of Cormac McCarthy's works, or some better than others, related to a very old stream of forgot to ask?
I haven't read enough to say anything authoritative about a comparison. I would just say that I found his writing to be depressing, uninspiring, unnecessarily graphic and violent, and I did not see much interesting or entertaining in them.
So, at this point of the show, they just start reading super chats. Some of these super chats speak about what they did to him. Some of them are just the normal glazing from the regular JDA audience. Now we go through that, you can finally get to the back end of all this drama. Longest 3 hours of my life, bro. Now, we pick back up here from John Delaraz's post, leading to YorchTorchGaming. Boop, ba-da-loop, ba-ba-ba. This is on the wrong page. Boop. Terrible. I apologize to the game community at large for a period of time where I thought John was a force of good for conservatives. Now I understand Jordan Peterson's words about pharisaical figures. Conservatives conserve. We don't destroy. Lesson learned. At the end of the day, we love games. That's what we should be fighting for. We play together. We stay together. That's why you went out of your way to support John De La Roz. Are you deleting the tweets? You had no problem attacking people when you knew you were supporting a furry, a paraphile wife beater. As far as I'm concerned, you're no better. Glad to see some good come from today's meet. Cheers. It's about saving games. Cheers. And we save gaming by making liberals' claims about others, doubling down on them, accusing Christians of being anti-Semitic when they do make an analogy and refuse to let rhetoric manipulate them into groveling for forgiveness. That will definitely save gaming! The man literally just showed a change of heart. It's baby step here, fam. Unless I'm misunderstanding, it was a change of heart in the wrong direction. He just supported cancel culture because someone was crying out, anti-Semite! He understood his past mistakes and declared to right his wrongs. When I said baby steps, I meant in a wait-and-see kind of situation. After all, action speaks louder than words. Maybe now we'll take a more gamer-centric position than a political brain-rot position. At the end of the day, all I'm saying is that a guy who's willing to give second chances. Sure, he can have one by all means. It's just a weird thing to say that you're ready to give someone a second chance when they announce their intentions to perfectly go in the wrong direction. You can clearly tell which ones are JDA fans and which ones are people taking in what's happening. Etc., 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 etc. How quickly you abandon all convictions on principles when someone dares not to kiss a Jewish ass? Last time I checked, my Roman Catholic Bible had an Old Testament. Where in the Bible does it say Christians are required to be subservient to Jews? Or does your Bible contain the Talmud? All parts of the Jesus is only path to heaven. And then he quotes John 14 from the NIV. And then York said Old Testament. Jesus is part of the New Testament DLC. Almost like the New Testament is important, no certainly. Not to his point. No, his point involved the Ord. Learn to read. Not in this case. Blah, 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 blah. And then these motherfuckers start doing gay shit down in the deep comment section. Which then leads to here. Gamers! York Torch has removed random polls contributor from his bio. Does this mean that he broke up at JDA? Question mark. Packer Girl then goes on to talk about their stuff. Then, further down, Master of the TDS comes in. I get that you guys want to be victims, but this is a total false equivalency. Your buddy invoked this over a post about a chair when I simply asked him to leave me out of his fight. I'm not surprised, though. It seems like context isn't something you guys care about given your past behavior. And so, in the same tone, when this is brought up by Master of the JDS, and JDS talks about this, in comes Rosary Warrior John F. Trent, bringing up the Gina Carano point. And here's Cassie and everybody else talking about how to be dumb as fuck. And bringing up the Lucario porn of the female titties. That's crazy. That's crazy, bro. Bro, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Maybe at this point, TDS calls him out on this. Then Warrior John and Trent goes, call me whatever, phobe-ist. That's really on the tip of your tongue and get over with. You'd like that, wouldn't you? It's a narrative you're trying to push, even though I spoke no ill of any of you. Have whatever opinion of Jewish people in the Holocaust you want, but John bringing it up over a meme about a chair when I asked to be left out was not okay. Throwing a friend under the bus and saying things just to offend them over trivial shit is deranged behavior, full stop. You're too much of a coward to do it yourself, so hope your followers do it for you. And then he quotes other people saying this. It's not worth the energy to argue with anti-Semitic people on the app because there's no change of the mind. That's why I prefer to troll them or ignore them. They're going to always try to Jew-splain stuff to me. Question mark. So basically going out of his way to say, you just want to call me a Jew slur, don't you? You want to call me a Jew slur. You just want to call me a Jew slur. Come on, call me a Jew slur. Call me a Jew slur. Meanwhile, over here, they are quoting the Black Sun. Now, for nobody who knows what this right here is the symbol of Eldar Fuckwad. This is the runes of more or less all of Old Norse Viking symbols in general. These symbols, when put into this, is called the Black Sun, because these symbols, surrounded by imagery that belongs to the 1488 sector of Nazbol Deep Posters, is them creating an idol figure, as we know that this is the idol that was created, the one in the yellow here on the side, underneath the one in the red, who is supposed to be the replacement of the reborn ideas of the Empire. This is Nazbol's claiming the Black Sun to rise over normal religious belief for the form of that VTuber persona that they invented for the church. And this is John De La Roz saying, yes, to it. Then, somebody underneath it claiming you get upset when people call you a Nazi, but you openly support stuff like this. This is what people meant when they kept calling him a Nazi. On the other side of this, Rose Warrior John F. Trent, the ferocious and majestic winged mouse of Green Desert, demonic though. You should probably not want this, right? Because it is stuff that in fantasy sense is demonic, but they're just promoting shit, and they're going along with whatever they think is the best talking point that works for their particular angle. Further from this, you then see the posts from ya boy and Master of the TDS. This is a big and a long one. This is a big and a long one. I would like to move on from the situation, but since some people are refusing to understand the context, I'm going to spell it out clearly. I was friends with John. I went out of my way to give him time and give him effort to help fix things, because that's what friends do. That's what friends do. That's what friends do, because Master is Jew. I'm sorry. I can't help myself. I'm just a comedian. I'm just telling jokes. I'm trying to bring up the levity because we usually don't deal with real Nazbuls, okay? We usually don't deal with real Nazbuls. I'm just trying to lighten the load. That's funny, depending on what kind of slave we were. I lashed myself. Ah! 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 I was friends with John. I went out of my way to give him time and effort to fix things, because that's what friends do. Then, over a meme about a chair, John decided to drag me into his fight with Smash and Hypnotic. I asked politely to be left out, because I had friends on both sides. In response, John brought up the Holocaust in an attempt to hurt me. He threw me under the bus for simply being friends with people he did not like. I am not angry that the Holocaust was mentioned. I am not making myself a victim for being Jewish. What I wanted was an apology for how I was treated. That is not how you treat someone who has only ever supported you and never said a single ill word against you. People can have whatever opinions they want about Jewish people or the Holocaust, but dragging a fight over a meme chair to attack a friend is not acceptable. That is what I wanted an apology for. If this does not clarify things, then nothing will. Then Hypnotic comes in and talks about it. Smite with Smash and Hypnotic. Brother, I entertain these people practically zero. If they're having a fight with me, it's one-sided. I'll poke fun. When asked about it on stream, but I make no dedicated videos and did a couple of streams talking about it in the past when Gunnergate first happened. And I was talking about different other things, not just one dedicated thing. I can't believe the chair causes level of meltdown. I told you the chair was bad. Denounce the chair. He was particularly annoyed that I was virtue signaling my support of you by posting a chair. He tried to force me to choose, and I don't choose the side of anyone trying to control me. As far as denouncing the chair goes, never. Then, Umberflame, are we going to ignore hilarity and irony of him luring a therapist over a chair? So on, so on, so on. And then multiple people giving their opinions and then yapping about those opinions. Some people would go on to say the amount of radical leftists attacking John in your name, Gamergate influencer in general, is concerning and strange at the same time. Sorry for the last 10 years made some people suspicious, especially when the comments demand to get, quote, rid of him. He's the definition of grifter. He will just say and do anything to remain irrelevant. Many people coming in, blah, 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 blah. Then it continues here. Then York comes in with his own messages. Gamers! First, he goes here, and he's on the back end of this, where he made the comment about the Nazis. York comes in here and says, John, so sorry to come out saying this, but that's not right. I didn't sign up for this. I don't like where this is going. Go and ask Master of the TDS for an apology. No one contacted me to tell you this in public. If we're asking Smash for an apology about a game, do it for a fellow gamer. This is the point where YorchTorch got some fucking balls! Finally! Somebody got some fucking cojones! Out of nowhere, suddenly, in comes York with the steel chair. Then, you got people on the side here saying, you and JDA are partners, but he's not good company. He's becoming a worst, obsessed, paranoid with it all, seeing DIs in everywhere, losing control over himself. He looks desperate for validation, looks for control in the narrative, and that's likely what spread the woke mindset. Sienna, you're an extraordinary friend. Thank you for that. There's so much we can do for gaming. We can't be distracted by going at each other's throats. One thing to make a meme and have fun, even have bad take in gaming, but another very different thing to be constantly attacking each other. Otherwise, we have nothing left. Take this complaint up with Melanie and Razor. They're the origin of this. And then they go on to have a conversation. Then, you go on to see that response here from YorchTorch, which, I don't know why he starts this every time. He literally starts this the same way every time. Gamers! I know that in the past year, my account has become a voice for traditionalist conservative gamers, and I know that many of my takes have been controversial and even hilarious. But we cannot have a divided gaming community. We may disagree, but we cannot be at war. Nigga, we are not on your side! I do not want to be in a gay war with this shit. But you are right, you should not be at war. You should be able to say, hey, yo, you want a war? Go fight that shit yourself, bro. I ain't getting in the lines for you. Because this motherfucker will use you as a prop. I cannot sign with John Delaraz asking Smash for an apology if he doesn't set the example first. John, call it off. Let it go. Apologize to TDS. Let bygones be bygones with Smash and Hypnotic. Set the example. We have so much to lie about. So many cool games to talk about. So much to build. Do it for the gaming community. Meanwhile, John. So as usual, I do message someone to try and talk. Everything TDS says is incorrect or performative, hence why he dealt with it as a quote tweet to signal Smash audiences that he's with him. Very interesting why he says that way, because people make quote tweets because they make quote tweets. Why shouldn't he bury what you're saying in a content post? This is the reason why I screen cap what retarded people say in response to me when I address what they're saying. Because this is stupid as fuck. He knows this is stupid as fuck. It's not about telling the truth. It's about having a narrative. He's fully a narrative brain at this point. Hence why he dealt with it as a quote tweet to signal to Smash's audience that he's with them. His response before I couldn't respond was for me to take the middle road. I'm sorry, I don't want the middle road of woke, York. That's how we got in this mess. While saying that, he's done everything he can to signal that he's with Smash and Hypnotic and against our values. I come across as harsh, but I stuck to my values and I'm doing it right. Looking reasonable is not the objective. And the post, from whatever it says, is I took the middle road and that's one you refused to travel down and that's why you were in this mess in the first place. Good luck digging out of it. John, stop this. This is going nowhere. Focus on your books. You have an extraordinary audience. You have a great community. I had the chance to meet many of them myself. You're blessed with such a beautiful family. And you profess a religion that teaches us to pray to God every day, saying, forgive us for our trespasses. We forgive those who trespass against us. You're an author. You write and sell books. Inspire and teach others to write. Do it for gaming. Leave a positive mark on gaming culture. And his response, I have a great community. True. And we fight evil. It is our duty. I will continue to fight evil. And then he posts fucking Mr. A like this motherfucker has anything even close to being like him. It's ridiculous as fuck for him to act as though he's anywhere close to the writing of Steve Ditko. Because that is performative as all fucking get out. It is gay! Gay! He's being gay here! The biggest homosexual LARPer. The biggest. The biggest. And the saltiest. It would then progress where Smash JT then approaches this point. I'm so done with this guy. I tried. I really did. Left the stream with him saying, I apologize for any awful things, and I'll try to keep any of the personal attacks rhetoric to a minimum, because I don't want to do that to you, and I practice what I preach. And I'd like to see a little push in the future where we can work together and be friendly. 15 hours later, I see this shit on my feed. Smash JT is illiterate. Live reacting to Smash JT's crash out and the end of the Gruder grift. Smash JT is illiterate and really raw IQ. I'm a little bit too intelligent for a lot of people to understand what I'm saying. Bruh. John Delaraz, you're a disingenuous prick. I tried in good faith, despite what everyone told me about you, and now I tuned in for a bit, heard you whining about me, crying about how others see you, get more attention than you, super chats than you, how you're so much smaller than everyone else, how YouTube's algorithm is holding you down. You just don't get it. There's no need. It's like he's reading it like he's trying to perform it in a video. You just don't get it. There's no reason for me to keep trying to help you. It's useless. I can't help those unwilling to help themselves. I'm done. Tune back in for for more likes and to do more, and click on that audience, click on that column to see more. It's like looking at the back end of the filter feed for your boy Jeremy Johns. Except Jeremy Johns is a good channel. You should subscribe to him. It's like listening to a blurb like that. No matter how Smash JT talks, he always talks performatively. I don't get it. Why do you like this, bro? But from this, two things happen. The first, Master of the TDS. I appreciate you trying to reason with him, but yeah, it's time for all of us to move on and let him wallow his irrelevance. Without negative attention, he has nothing. Starve him out of that too, moving forward. Everybody came to the opinion that they all need to bury him. Wonderful. Great to see. Other thing, I have a vision for our Gamergate 3, standing against DEI, against personal attacks on Christian and conservative creators. If you believe in that, give me a follow. Smash, I hope you'll come join us. Your content can be way better if you stop and focus, and stop the drama. God bless. And Smash, I have a reading list for you that I'll cultivate and send to you in a bit. We'll get you caught up with some of the philosophical and historical classics. No matter how badly this went for everybody involved, he is still trying to sell, and nobody wants to buy what he's fucking selling. blatantly homosexual content. Blatantly homosexual. Blatantly. In this context, homosexual means lame, for those who are not aware of the lingo. Blatantly homosexual. And that brings us to the end. That is it. That's what happened. Finally! We're doing single-player Coral, and everybody is finally calling the shit what it is! Finally. Maybe now we can get away from the drama and get back to the games. Finally, maybe we can cut off John Delaroz, and we can start burying him, because we've done it. We've covered the antics, we've covered the antics, we've called him and Trent and Melody out. If they remain like this, let them get buried by the algorithm. Let us begin by not talking about them anymore. Let's not rise to the barbs. We know that they're full of shit. We know that they think the way that they think. We're not doing it no more. Excuse me. Let's now put it down in the books and say, we're done with this chapter. We're moving forward. As I said before I went live from my post, all the way back here, bring it up. Let me see. Back where I said this, because this got retweeted by Dev, where I said, finally gearing up to get into this shit tonight, soon, where I made the thumbnail. I based it on a meme where I crossed out the X's, so it's just like the my friendship with X has ended. Now Fedposting is my best grift. I said, end quote, I like to state and mention before I even do this, Master of the TDS, I'm sorry to hear what he said and did to you personally, and the same to YorchTorchGaming. Both of you have my sympathies for dealing with this, as would even Smash JT. Although Smash is in this situation because he didn't have to be involved in this. But I suppose I should extend that to Smash JT as well, but Smash has a lot to learn, and he has to start by learning how to navigate these situations, so he doesn't get made embarrassed a fool for content in the future again. Because he basically acted like a perfect poster boy of somebody who's unaware of how to play the game. Because, if you want to say it, I've been destroying my voice too much tonight, so let me drink the water instead of drinking the alcohol. What JDA just used Smash for was his best interpretation to say, it's time to play the game! And the entire time he's doing it, he's trying to cerebral assassin all of the antics and behavior that he wants to talk about him for and talk about him with. Because he inherently wants to use Smash as an example of why you need to be on his side of the war instead of the other side of the war. Or why you have to take a side to begin with. Because if you don't pick a side, you're going to be left behind. It's like the Rapture. I said this explicitly because the come around and the throughway to the point of this is that JDA thinks that he will get away with this shit. Realistically, gaming is healing at this moment because now more people are aware of how full of shit he is. And hopefully, more people see this VOD and watch this VOD. Thank you, Wheezy. More people will watch this VOD and understand how cantankerous this shit really is. So, whose side do you want to be on? Do you want to be on JDA's side? Hopefully not. Do you want to be on the side of somebody like, say, good old Elizabeth Conte and Dave Rivera, Airbagged? Do you want to be on the side of constantly shitposting about the right wing and about the left wing and about those who are not on your side giving you money and giving you opportunities to grow off of them on Twitch? Probably not. Whose side should you be on? Should you be on single player card side? No! You should be for the fucking games, bro. I can care less if you're on my side. I tell jokes for a living. You shouldn't need to be on my side. It's not about replacing a figurehead. It's about the fact that I know what I'm for, and it's not that bullshit. And that's the true come away. If there's a true victim in this situation, it is Master of the TDS. His friend decided clout and money mattered more than camaraderie and friendship. If there's a true victim next to that, it would be York, where he wants to do what's right, and he wants to do what's good. And he said, look, I got tricked. He fucked me. I'm sorry, bro. I didn't realize. Let's do good now. And John Delarosa said, oh, so you turning on me? Just what we expect to see. And I guess also, Another victim is Smash, where he tried to bring a person to understand, listen, don't you think you fucked your friend over? Don't you think this is fucked up what you did to him? And he's telling him, no, I don't. I think it's more, and I think I need to do more, and I think I need to bury him more. Like, I don't feel sorry for a single fucking thing. These victims that have been tricked by a man who has used them to gain clout, whatever clout size that is, to get to where he is, same thing was done by multiple other figures in the past, and will be done again in the future, if they don't learn from it. So, the best part of this is that they don't fall for this again, and you recognize these antics for what they are. Because now, even if you didn't know what the fuck was going on, if not from me, if not from others like Dev, you will now understand what it looks like in living color and in full motion. So now you know not to get fooled again. And it's not about coming onto my side, or going onto their side, or on the other side. It's about being on your side. You are a consumer. You are responsible for the information that you look up about the people you support and about the games that you play. If you want to buy games that you think are woke, and you're doing it for content, you're doing it for money, it is what it is. Be blessed, beloved. You want to support me and my opinions and my viewpoints? Be blessed, beloved. Thanks for that. I love the support. If at some point I go too far for you, whatever the fuck that looks like, and you say, listen, Carl, I like your content, I don't agree with you saying, I'm going to be like, all right, and we're going to see you when you see you. But I don't go wherever the fuck that goes. And you can then be able to understand that a game can be designed in a way that you might not appreciate on first watch, but it can still be good. A game might not be made in the way in which you think it would be satisfying from the left-wing perspective, and it can still be good. If you fall on the rank of calling everything chud-like or woke, you haven't succeeded at the very simple concept that is important. Getting over the inch-high barrier of your self-referential Pharisee. When you stop allowing these traps to make you fall on the rake and say, no, I won't play that game. Expedition 33 looks like it's another piece of the engine of the wokeness of the core. And you actually understand that shit is the piece of connoisseur made specifically by the Jacques. You will discover so many more games that will be accepting and waffle free for you. Now, of course, this comes with caveat, things like Caves of Quid or any other content like that, where if they clearly don't want you to believe a certain way, you know, if the bot Exter, the trans bunny designer, were to come out of nowhere and say, no, you can't be a fan of my game Nightmare Cart because I don't want chuds liking my content, because they reflexively are trying to attack what they think is somebody who believes differently from them, you should be able to laugh at that and be like, I don't care about that shit, I care about the video being good! Because that's how you bring them closer to the center. You get them to stop fucking moving so goddamn fast to try and stop people from liking them a certain way, and simply just accept, bro, it is what it is. The game is the game. Play the game or don't play the game. I don't give a shit. And never the twain shall meet. And if a content creator tries to get you to act the way the JDA does, know that motherfucker's selling you some snake oil. And throw that shit back in his goddamn face. Period. My breath. My chest hurts. Very good post, One Wick. Very good post. I don't know why that's not coming up here. For some reason, I can't see that one in the chat. Let me refresh this screen, see if it comes up. Oh no, did I break my chat screen? I might have broken my chat screen. Nope, here we go. No, for some reason, his chat's not coming up. This one right here on the side with Alabaster's name on it is not show. Oh, wait, no. Now I see it. I fixed it. But yeah. Games like Doom the Dark Ages being called woke because it has a difficulty slider and a woman is retarded. Because it's not a difficulty slider. It's an accessibility slider. It is technically a game difficulty selector slider. Because the way that most of us have recognized an accessibility slider is the kind that they try to offer in The Last of Us Part 2. Or Part 1. But what it actually does is that it gives you the ability to control everything in your game. You can control the way that you play, you can control the baseline, you can make it easier for yourself or harder for yourself. Is a game woke when it gives you a difficulty slider that allows you to make it harder for yourself? Question mark? Obviously not. It's thought-terminating cliches all the way around. And just like politics ruins video games, religious dogma ruins video games as well. They're functionally the exact same thing. And ultimately, you just can't let these things control you like this. Because if you do, this is where you end up. Where you get stuck in what they want you to be in, which is a holding pattern. What JDA wants you to be in is a holding pattern, where you don't make any moves, and you say, well, who should I listen to? And out of the corner of your mind, he says, you should listen to me, and also give me your money, and also your wife. I have to bless her with the holy seed of the Lord. Never mind the sounds that you hear under the desk of sucking. That is just the Lord working his way through me. I have deposited the Lord's. Bad Carl! Like, it opens worlds of possibility when you stop thinking the way that some people have been thinking in the past. Because it requires you to have the mindset to know that that's not what's important. Because, you know, on one hand, it's never meet your heroes, but at the same hand, it's like, it's not don't meet your heroes, it's don't idolize them to the point of being blind. Don't blind yourself to the truth just because you want to say they gave you good lessons. Like, if somehow the talking points of an obvious Nazi are what's going to lead you into a wall, understand that in there, Vox Day said things that are true. But he said things that are true not because he was trying to teach, but because he was trying to show how stupid Smash JT is in rhetoric. Because they are self-flagellating intelligent people. They believe themselves to be intelligentsia because they have a reading of knowledge that most people are not prepared for if they have not taken a liberal arts course or have not taken a course on social justice. And the kind of trickery that Alyssa McCartney, Jesus Christ, that Alyssa Mercante would take upon people who should be non-uneducated, like a dumb Carl playing stupid like me. If a smart Carl, not playing stupid, also like me, were to call her out on the shit that Dev did in his call when he was on with David Jaff, he would end up getting a soft no. Because you're no longer able to be tricked. You're aware of how the tricks work. You can't be fooled. They don't want people like me. They want people that can be easily fooled. That are going to jump in with Grums and the rest of them. Because it's about power and numbers. If you don't let yourself fall for the okadoke, this don't happen to you. But it's not just about keeping yourself safe. It's trying to keep other people safe too. To that level, I can't belabor that. I can't be out there trying to constantly try to speak and stop people from doing shit. All I can do is help me and mine. And then, from extension, from a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend, it's like, oh, you don't know about what the fuck they're on? Here, you should listen to Single Player Carl stream. And don't take it from my words. You don't have to believe me. If you think that shit that was said here is shit that is sweet, I can simply just give you a VOD. Simple as that. And the people who find that VOD on the VOD can go watch the video themselves and see if they come away with a different interpretation from the opinions of those that are there.
Comparison.
You don't have to believe me. That's the best part. I want you to use your own brain. So those that don't know, they can simply take that link and then they can find out. Because, like, fuck what I gotta hide it for? It's right there. And if at some point he takes it down in the future, I hope somebody has a VOD link for it and has a saved copy. That should definitely happen. If I have to be the one to archive and re-upload it in case it disappears in the future, I can do that, but, like, don't take the black man's word for it. See it with your own eyes. Who do you believe? Me and your eyes or the liars? Like, what more do you want me to do? I can tell you, shit, get off the road, it's the devil. No, Single Player Carl, how do you know it's the devil? I don't know. Does the devil have horns and tail and legs? And does he hang his tail out like this? I don't know. Tell me right for it. Let's get the fuck out of here. I can only do so much. At that point, if you don't want me to save you, I gotta save me. Me's gotta live. I got a woman and child, bro. I don't know about you, but I like having sex. I like eating food that she makes for me. I like playing with my boy. I can't let myself go down because you won't believe me when I said it. But you don't even have to believe me when I said it. You can just see it for yourself. If nothing else, a content creator should teach you how to be smart so that you don't have to rely on my words. My best tool is to teach you how to look out for yourself so you can look out for others and pay it forward. But how long has we been able to do a shit like that in the past? I'm a rare breed. I'm a rare breed. But anyways, we are now at 12:33. I have a yap in the morning to get to. So, I will leave you chat. For those that were not here for the early yapping that happened Saturday, today, from inside of Geistwind server, I have launched the Path of Exile 1 server. So right now, there's only one of them. It is the PoE University server. Tomorrow, I feel like I'll do a PoE 1 stream after I finish whatever it is I'm going to do for Sunday. I don't know. I need to get through content because today is the 4th. Yesterday was the 3rd. Today is the 4th. I said I wanted to be done with everything that I'm doing by the 5th, but that might not happen. So we just have to play it by ear and see what happens. But I do want to, do some content with the community. So that has been put up. For those that are tuning out, we see you. For those who want to know what I'm talking about, we have Path of Exile content that's happening for the community. Because they were behind on the posting of the content for Path of Exile 1's leagues, they gave us private server community posts. We have a Path of Exile community for the content that is currently live. There is so far 2 people inside of it. Those that would like to play in it, there is a link inside the server that you can find on polls and announcements. If you are inside of Geistwind, that is also posted inside of Promotional Channel. You click that link, it then takes you to joining the Path of Exile community that has been made. It's been up for 11 hours so far. If you want to get involved, that's the way you click on it. The links do not expire at any time. The servers will go down towards the end of the month. This is like a total of 3, 1 out of the 3 that I'm going to make. The next one's going to be the race server, and then after that, the next one's going to be the milestone push, where we will all work collectively together, for those that wish to do it. So once I make the total of all of those, we'll have all that content there. I'll probably start the next one tomorrow, and I'll be posting that and doing that alongside everyone else, and we'll see how that goes. This is going to be content for the full month. Tomorrow, I should also have another versus chat to get into towards later of the day, as well as the yapping. So I want to go to sleep so that I have the energy to do that in the morning. Goodbye. Bon nuit. Bon nuit to you all. I am reading you in the funny papers, and I will be building you for my therapy. And remember, ask not what you can do for Carl, but ask what Carl can do for you. Goodbye, chat.